The ClevelandMoto podcast is brought to you by Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0.
All right, guys, this is another episode of the Cleveland Moto podcast. We're at episode number 343. Light them up. And tonight it's like light them up. It's like, fuck that. We got Mai Tais. We got all kinds of drinks. We've been making cocktails, riding little bikes, all kinds of weird shit. And we're outside on a beautiful, gorgeous night in Cleveland, Ohio.
Perfect.
You couldn't ask for better weather than this. This is it.
Not really.
No. And there's no mosquitoes. There's nothing. It's just fucking perfect.
Haven't been bit once.
It's awesome. I'm just going to give a quick roll call. To my left, coming down from the mighty shores of beautiful Michigan,
Chance
rode down here on his Harley Davidson.
That's right. My Sportster 1200.
Your governor sucks.
You said he was coming from Vermont, and I didn't get the joke.
You didn't get the joke.
I was like, you came all the way from Vermont?
No,
At this point, I'm not coming from anywhere.
the title came from Vermont. The title came from Vermont. The license plate's somewhere between Michigan and here.
Yeah. No, it's here to Toledo. It's a little narrower than that.
So you're rocking a very fashionable packaging tape and
That's right.
Sharpie marker number.
Completely legit.
What year is that 1200?
2005.
2005. Yeah, that's fucking great. How many miles are on it?
So right now it's at about not much. It's only like 24.
Wow.
Yeah.
24,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one we got for James, that 03, when it showed up at my shop, it had 3,100 or 1,800 miles on it. And the guy hated it. Like, he hated it with the passion of 1,000 suns because it's like from the day he bought it, it never ran right and his dealer wouldn't give him any support. The dude is so pissed off. And he came in, we're not going to discuss how much I traded him a bike for, but it was not much money. But we put an hour and a half of labor into it. And James had been riding that thing like the town bike since we got it. I can't sell the bike now. James has got a soft spot for 1,200 Harleys. It's weird. Like, how do you like it?
No, I love it. Well, so, the last couple of times I've been down here, I rode in on the that Suzuki, the VS800.
Yep.
And going up to the 1200 is nice.
I would wait. So when we say Suzuki VS, can we ever say VS800 without saying
anal intruder?
Volusia? Is yours a Volusia or an intruder?
It's the Boulevard.
It's the Boulevard. Yeah, so it's the Boulevard because they did that. Like, look, we all just have to say, when Suzuki was calling those motorcycles intruders, oh man, there's some point where he's like, yeah, I got an intruder out in the garage.
Episode 117.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna go sit on my intruder.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. I mean, how will I know when your boyfriend gets here? Oh, he's the one with an intruder. Well, he's not coming to my fucking house, But and then they switched it over from intruder to Volusia. And they kicked it to Volusia, and nobody could pronounce Volusia. So, like, people would see the word Volusia, get confused, and they were like, oh, fuck it, just call it a boulevard and put numbers in front of it.
Is this from Eastern Europe or something?
The Volusia, which, of course, in our country, what are we going to do? It's the Voluser. And everybody knew that a Volusia was just a boulevard that didn't...
I got one of those right over here.
But everybody knew a Voluser was just a boulevard that didn't have fuel injection. Because when they started putting fuel injection on it, they gave up the name Volusia. And that was how we at the shop shorthand, when somebody's like, oh, I got a Suzuki 800. I'm like, is it a Volusia? It is a Volusia.
What's the difference between amnesia and Volusia? Amnesia
I forget.
You don't know where you're going as opposed to you know where you've been.
Right. But so that's pretty cool. And so did you stop in Toledo?
So I got gas just outside of Toledo.
Right.
Yeah, I just got west of there and filled up, and it was still there when I got
you
gas.
had a license plate.
So, so the reason I even have Vermont plates is kind of a long story, right?
Oh, this is the place for it.
Yeah, so I ended up buying that Harley last fall because the Suzuki, that was my first bike.
Yeah.
I rode the shit out of that
Yes,
bike.
you did.
I mean, I put, 40,000 miles on it. And now it's currently in pieces in my garage. I'm in balls deep in my first top end rebuild.
Nice.
So, worn piston rings, cam chain.
That motor owes you nothing.
So, well, that's in pieces. So I had a buddy, Brent, the guy that came with me to IMS a couple years ago. Yeah. He has family friends with some guys up there in Michigan that are real, big into vintage bikes, rebuilding. They got a bunch of 70s BMWs. These motherfuckers have a Vincent Black Shadow they're rebuilding, right? These guys are legit. Yeah.
Good for them. Holy shit.
They had this Harley for sale for like $3,000 for $1,200, and the Suzuki was in bits. I hadn't rode all summer. It's 2020. Nothing's fucking going on. So I came up on it. And it was too good to be true. But here's the kicker: they didn't have the title. So it's like I got a ride. So last year, if you're listening to this and you're with the Michigan State Police, I just don't listen for a few moments. But so last year,
allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly, someone just happened to put the Suzuki plates on my bike.
Of course.
I could ride around.
Right.
But so this year, I felt like my luck was running out.
But it's perfectly legal because you transferred the Gremlin bell from the Volusia to the thing. So it's really the bike. You just put a few extra parts on your Gremlin bell.
Paperwork means nothing. The Gremlin bell has got a proper 17-digit VIN.
It's not the same bike. It's the same, but it has the same soul.
It's the same Gremlin bell.
Nice. So no title.
Yeah.
So lo and behold, they have this bike because it's a salvage title from California.
Okay. All right.
Someone they knew, it was like, some young girl had it, dropped it, and like it broke one of the nuts on the steering stem.
It broke an expensive part.
Yeah. Right. Insurance just said no. So they welded it back on.
Right.
It looked great other than that one little piece. So I bought it without the title against my better judgment. I knew it was going to bite me in the ass, but I did it anyways. It was too good to be true. So
he knows we're recording.
So since it's on a salvage title, I decided the best route to go after hearing it actually on this podcast and then doing some research is the Vermont plate route.
Yeah.
So sure enough, had the sheriff come out, do the VIN inspection. Yeah, it's not stolen. Good to go.
Right on.
Filled out the paperwork, sent it to him.
Yeah.
5 or 6 weeks later, plates in the mail.
Here comes your license plates.
Right. So, and now it's
everybody's
gone.
like,
it lasted all about 3 months, and now it's somewhere on State Road 2.
Yeah, but you got the documentation at home, just order another plate.
I got the registration.
Yeah.
So here's my new dilemma now that I want to ask you guys. So I've got the salvage title.
Yep.
I've got the original title before the salvage.
Oh.
And now I've got my Vermont registration. So if I want to go into the Michigan DMV, what do I bring into? What's my path of least resistance to getting Michigan plates on
I know what I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
Is if you have the original California title, that California title may be branded salvage in California. But if you have a document,
it doesn't say anywhere on the title.
And it doesn't say salvage anywhere on the title.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
It sounds to me like you just bought a motorcycle last week from this girl from California, and you may or may not paid $1,200 for it. It was a little rough around the edges, but I'd go for it.
Right, fair condition.
Fair condition.
3 stars.
That's right.
Speaking of 3 stars,
what did you bring us tonight?
Ooh, I brought us some plantation.
Yeah.
Johnny Mac had a call out a couple weeks ago about wanting some room, and I saw it. I'm like, all right. And sure enough, I looked at the bottle. It said 3 stars. This is it. This is the perfect
Plantation
bottle.
3 stars. That is the perfect rum for our podcast. Is
do not let
Plantation
Steve
3
have
stars.
any of it, please.
Game on. But we're making Mai Tais with it, so those are going down pretty good. So fucking great, man. So cool to see you show up today. I didn't check the ClevelandMoto Gmail email because I've been so busy all week. So you showed up and I was like, oh shit, Chance is here. That was weird. And then I went and looked at my email. I was like, oh shit, he totally told me he was coming.
It was only a couple of days ago. I was like, you know what? It's so nice. Fuck it. I'll ride down there. And if they're not doing the podcast,
Beautiful.
I'll just
hang out.
to ride down here.
Yeah, that's true. I totally approve of that. So that's great. We're thrilled to have you here, man. Again, that's so cool.
Thanks for having me.
To your left,
Dan KROMPKE.
Dan, you rode your Vespa tonight.
Yeah.
By accident. We're going to talk about this in the podcast, but by complete and utter accident, this has turned into a bit of a scooter podcast. We're going to discuss that later. But to let people know, when you ride that Vespa in here, how far is that, do you think?
I don't know. It's about 25 minutes. 25, 30 minutes.
Yep.
I don't know miles wise.
And are you riding it on the freeway or are you riding it on surface streets?
I don't get on the freeway usually.
Because that's a 150cc Vespa. I was going to say, if you're riding that thing on the freeway, we got to talk. Yeah.
Today I was hauling a TV on it, so.
You did. We have a
extra drag
television on the back of the Vespa. Yeah.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Excellent.
Really appreciate it.
Yep. Going to a good home. And so that's cool. And we're going to talk about what kind of bikes we've been riding around too, because that's been fun. And to his left,
Steve Sleepy.
Sleepy, what'd you ride here tonight?
Z900 RS Cafe.
But I have to call attention to the podcast listeners. You did not show up empty-handed.
No.
So tell the friends and the listeners at home what you showed up with today.
I brought myself in a backpack.
Yeah.
And a title for Renee to sign.
Of course, as you do.
I brought a vaporizer for Dan.
Correct.
And I brought an entire weed plant for Steve.
Yes. Now, wait a second. In case the podcast listeners were to get the wrong idea and think that you brought like a Ziploc bag with a weed plant in it, you brought what I would buy at a hospital to give to somebody who was in like with a broken leg.
Right.
It was like a proper potted plant.
Right.
It's like got a proper like 6-inch pot.
Right.
And then it's all wrapped in beautiful paper.
Working at a 280 acre greenhouse has its benefits.
This thing showed up on the desk in the back, and I was like, oh, somebody brought Renee flowers or something. Something weird is going on.
You could probably UPS this thing anywhere in the world if you wanted right now.
It looks so legit. I'd be like, okay, what is this, like artisanal tomatoes or something? Heirloom tomato plant?
That's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
Over on the way home. It's 100% a fucking tomato plant.
Right.
Very discreet till the light shines through it from behind, and then you see the leaves.
Exactly. I was like, if you got pulled over in that, it's so beautifully wrapped and like so beautifully put together, I would completely believe you were taking home like some kind of really cool plant for your wife or something.
I got this from Phil's grandmother. She's 99 years old. She's had the same tomato plant for 75 years.
Brought it over from the old country.
This isn't a Buckeye tree.
Well, honestly, anybody's listening, and if you happen to partake in the wonderful hobby of growing medicine or anything like that.
Exactly. Right.
Right now, there's a thing. So basically, nobody can tell the difference between a CBD plant and a THC plant.
Okay, all right.
And they'd actually have to test it. And most police departments are not going to fucking bother with trying to test it.
Fair enough.
If you have one little fucking...
Especially in most states where it's become no longer a criminal offense.
Right.
Yeah, what is the law about that down here?
Well, I have my card, so I'm a legal medical marijuana patient.
Right.
But I'm only allowed to vape or buy it from dispensaries. You're not allowed to grow
And
your own.
I'm a legal medical marijuana caregiver.
Right. But since Ohio is so stupid, like when you go to a dispensary, 1/2 gram cartridge is $58.
Right.
And it's just like, fuck you, man. I'm growing my own shit.
Right.
Suck my dick.
Yep.
Can you buy bud at the store?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
but you're not allowed to smoke it. You're only allowed to vape it.
They just call it flour. So
if you're standing there and you're vaping in front of a cop and you have your light, they're cool. If you put it in a bowl and smoke it, he can then beat you and then take you to jail. That's how stupid Ohio is.
But I can buy as much.
stupid.
Yeah, I can buy as much flour as my mom needs. You know?
You're allowed. Isn't it like every 6 months you're allowed so much?
It's crazy.
But it's like 1.2 ounces a
It's
day or
an
something.
impossible quantity.
Like,
my wife and I sat and we did the math.
Yeah.
And it's an astronomical amount of marijuana.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that it's not more than I could smoke, but it's more than I'd be willing to spend money on.
Yeah.
Right.
So, it's stupid.
It is way too much weed. But hey, that's the way the law works, right?
My one buddy was talking about he goes to some Indian reservation in upstate New York or something, and they've got Afghani hashish.
Oh, wow.
The gold stamp, like... He's like, yeah, they bring it in canoes from Canada. Like,
bring it in canoes.
You know what's funny? It's like
running bear.
I was always like, I can't believe that you could just wear a burlap sack and walk through shit and get this, hash, whatever, right?
Right.
So I have a plant, or allegedly have a plant in a tent that's pretty much budding and doing stuff right now.
Right.
And I saw like a dead leaf way in the back, so I shove my hand back there and I'm fucking reaching in there and I get the leaf and I pull it out. And my whole arm is like. I bumped into something. It stuck to my arm. I have laundry hanging off of it. I'm like, holy shit, man!
You've been glued, dude. That's sticky. That's very sticky.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So
very cool.
You have a scratch and sniff arm now.
And then a return for us. Now we basically told Chris if he came to the podcast, he could recollect the cooler he brought us at AMA Vintage Days.
Right.
But then he showed up on 2 wheels, so I don't think there's any chance that monster
Oh, no,
cooler.
you're taking that fucker home.
You're going to wear it like a helmet?
Right. Strap it to my back.
Set it on the seat, you sit on top of it.
So what'd you ride tonight, Chris?
My AK 550.
The AK 550 has been modified. Every time I see you, that bike gets cooler.
It changes a little bit each time.
And we all got to ride it, and holy fuck, is that a good scooter?
Yes, it is a good bike.
That's a Harley Davidson scooter.
Bullshit. It is way better than a Harley Davidson.
No, but it has like that chug. It has like a Harley chug. It's got
it's got what
the
they
belt
call
slink.
torque.
Yeah, and it's got this, but that rubber, it has that feel. feel? Like that
because
rubber
the
belt.
final drive is a belt drive.
Yeah.
It's not an enclosed transmission like a scooter. It's a proper belt drive like the Aprilia Mana was and other stuff. It's crazy fucking powerful.
Yeah.
And like it is the kind of a bike that you're like, oh, it's a big heavy scooter. I know what these feel like. I've been on a Bergman before. I've been on a Silverwing. And then you crack the throttle on that. And then you're like, oh, it has 2 different modes. It has orange mode and blue mode. Tell the folks the difference between orange mode and blue mode.
Holy fuck. Right? Like,
Well, and here's the thing about your bike that almost fucking freaked me out. He has the wrist reliever,
Yep.
the little
Throttle
thingy in there,
rocker.
but
Yeah.
it's like fucking at like 12 o'clock because
Yeah.
I think he's full throttle all the time. So I've never ridden it before, and I'm trying to be cool, and I don't know what the torque is like.
Right.
My hand's on that thing, and it goes like this, and the bike's like, I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah, he's got carpal tunnel syndrome. And that's exactly it. He can go from England to France. That's just one shot, carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
So that there's a mode button on the side of it. And when you punch up the mode button, it goes from, I like to just say the 2 modes are rain and
Yeah.
everything.
yeah.
Right. And the rain mode's the blue mode.
Rain mode is the orange
Mode. Thank
Orange.
you. The rain mode, because that would seem like it'd be the other way around.
You would think so,
yeah.
right? Like warning, like, hey,
Right.
you're going to get
Exactly.
fucking
Blue
knocked
for
off.
water.
Blue for water, orange is obviously faster.
Come on, baby,
So-
light my fire.
Yes, orange for fire. But it's when you put it in power mode, when you put the thing in power mode, it's like giddy the fuck up.
Oh, yeah.
It's a really, really peppy bike, man.
But you do not want to do blue in the rain. I'm telling you right now. Like, new asphalt and whatnot because they're doing roads everywhere.
Yeah.
Fuck, I hit the throttle the one time because a car was coming over and I hit it and I almost went down.
Yeah.
Almost just sideways on me.
We had a person pick up their AK 550 today. And this person's last bike was many, many years ago. And she's a bus driver for the city of Cleveland. And she said, I said, well, I just want to let you know what you're in for. This is the world's fastest motor scooter. Oh. Yes. This is not fucking around. You have to approach this with a certain degree of respect. I'm going to give you the 1 hour tutorial and briefing on this bike, but then I'm going to tell you, don't just jump onto Lorraine Road there and expect to just rip on home with that guy. I usually put him on a little side street here. The side street's a cul-de-sac, and I let him go down the cul-de-sac where they can get to know the bike. There was a gold-colored minivan, like a Dodge minivan, parked outside of George's Automotive Center today. There's now a pumpkin-sized dent in the back left corner of that minivan. Our mechanic said he was going for lunch and he saw the bike on its side with the back tire spinning.
Oh, jeez.
With the girl?
The new AK?
Literally minutes old. And so I was just like, holy shit. I'm going to tell you guys, if you've ever bought a bike from me, you know that I spend some time with you. We spend some time talking about what it can do. We spend some time talking about basic safety fundamentals. You look where you go. My favorite quote is, look at the tree, hit the tree, look at the car, hit the car, right? I said all those things to her. I even told her to walk it down the sidewalk to get to 165th and then take it down and enjoy the cul-de-sac as many times as she needed to.
Target fixation.
Target fixation. She looked at the car, she hit the car. So now there's a pumpkin-sized dent in the side of a Dodge minivan. So we're going to assume that she stopped and found the owner and discussed things and traded insurance information because of course she did. She's a good Christian woman. Yeah. Because
But that's your problem.
anything else could probably impede her career as a bus driver.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So that's AK 550s are not fucking around. Like
No.
that's a sporty ass bike.
And it sucks to do an oil change on.
Yeah. And thank God somebody finally made a video.
Right? How to do it without taking off all the fucking plastic.
I've had so many people calling and they're like, so how exactly do an oil change on this? And I was like, well, and now there's a video. Thanks to you.
Well, you can drain it fucking easy as can be. Drainage, no problem.
Right.
Trying to get that filter.
Trust me, if you get the plug out, it drains.
Right?
Now, where does it go? That's the other question.
Oh, that's just it, right?
It just goes into the belly pan.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're bending that down and hoping it comes off.
That's
and
what we
brake
ask
cleaning.
John every day at work when he's draining it.
Where does the poo go? This is all harassment. This is all documented. Yeah, just so you know.
Did I tell you, since I work in Oberlin now?
Yeah.
Every time I take a shit, I put a little note that says, "Hi, John."
Hi, guys.
Just flushing Lego people. I'm just eating Lego people.
This is the stuff that sticks to the pipe.
Can I eat greasy minifigs?
They only come out after a big rainstorm. We get them all.
A jar of peanut butter and a minifig.
You make a game and treasure hunt out of it, just pieces of the guy.
The guy show up, build your own character.
You know,
John, I'm going to send you a free motorcycle over the next year.
One piece at a time, a monkey bike.
I want to see if. Okay, so I want you to get a fishing pole with a bunch of monofilament.
Oh God!
And flush your turd down and just let it go.
Just let it run out.
And I'll watch for it.
Right. Yeah. Drag shoot that motherfucker the whole way.
There it goes. Hold on. I got
You can
it.
tie cans on either end.
Yep, that's it. You can talk through the sewer system.
And when it jams the pump, you can go down in there and clear it out.
Yep. You don't have to call it Ohio Bell. You call it Ohio Smell. Yeah.
Just, side note, they actually do that in prison. They actually use the toilets to fucking talk between levels and whatnot.
Yeah,
it is
water,
crazy.
Yeah, water carries sound. Yeah,
right? Yeah, they get all the toilets emptied and they fucking have conversations. This is the strangest shit ever. I'm watching a documentary. I'm like, you got to be fucking bored out of your mind to want to have a conversation to a toilet.
If you wouldn't have said documentary, I was like, wow, Chris is a little fucking more hardcore than I thought he was.
Yeah, there's a lot of time on your hands.
Right?
He was in Cell Block 3.
Right.
Fucking.
That's how they get their Sunday sermon. Everybody has to.
They sit around the can.
Yeah.
Nice. And two Chris's left.
Johnny Mac.
Johnny Mac, you rode tonight. No, you didn't.
I don't really. Not the podcast.
Not the podcast.
It's too close.
We rode Sunday. We rode 4 fucking hours both directions.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yep. And then to his left.
Steve Hoffer.
And wait, you bought a bike.
I bought one that was
Because
sold
it's
by
a day
you.
that ends in a Y.
Yeah. I bought a Simba that you sold to the guy that.
Well, let's just clarify. If it says Simba on the side, I sold it.
Right.
So I don't think anybody else in Cleveland was selling Simbas.
And I think I bought every Simba you've ever sold.
I'm also pretty sure that you bought every single Simba I've ever
So
sold.
wait, so when they had a product launch, they do the whole like
They should have. What I can say is the guys that were importing SYM to the United States missed every fucking cool opportunity because like
they could have had the lion holding that fucking thing up like
they could have done so much cool shit.
Hey, Svenja.
They never made it. They never made it awesome. Like with the bike like the Simba, which there weren't. I mean, the Super Cub didn't come back out yet. No. The Simba was the Super Cub, 110 cc's, unkillable. We rode it on the Dragon. That shit does not fuck around.
It's faster than a Super Cub.
Yes, it is. Undoubtedly faster than a Super Cub. And actually holds its head pretty high in the Dragon. Unfortunately, it doesn't have foldable pegs. So Dustin and I and Shane, we had them on the Dragon one year. And I had the Simba leaned over to the point where I was just painting fucking purple and black stripes around the corners because the fucking pegs don't fold up.
Right.
But the bike would corner all the way down to the point of impact. No problem. So there's a really good bike. I mean,
and this guy bought every accessory.
He bought every accessory. He got the bench seat.
Right.
Yeah, the bench seat.
And the rack for the front. Those are unobtainium.
The rack is unobtainium, and putting the bench seat on is 7.5 hours of labor.
And now it finally has the ultimate asshole accessory sitting on the seat.
Nobody ever looked more hardcore than Steve sitting on a baby blue Simba. Right. Because in case any part of that wasn't Camaro enough, right on.
I love that color, too.
It's the best color.
It is.
I was driving back from New York when the guy said, when I had already made the deal.
Yeah.
Because I made the deal when I was in New York, and I kept on telling my wife, I hope it's the blue one.
I hope it's the blue one.
Oh, you didn't even see it or anything?
No, the guy called me to fix it.
Yeah.
Because it was a friend of my friends.
Yeah.
And I gave him a price of like 200. I said like $200 to $300.
That wasn't even a fuck you price.
No, it was
very fair.
It was a decent price.
Yeah.
And so when he texted me, he waited like 3 days and he said, I'm giving it away. And I said, well, I tell you what, don't give it away.
Right.
I'll give you $300 for it.
Right. Yeah.
And the guy said, how about 400? And I said, let's just split the difference.
How about you let me pay you $200 to fix it?
Well, I'm just saying,
And then
why
once
would he
it's
want
properly
it fixed?
right?
Yeah, but what a dick! Like I'm gonna give this away for free. How about $300?
about
he's gonna
400?
No, he's going to donate it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to take something like that because I knew it was a good. I mean, it only had 1,000 miles on it.
It doesn't matter. At $1,000, you still would have been fine. So it's.
I would have given him $1,500 for
Now
it.
that's crazy talk, Steve. That's just crazy talk.
I like that bike.
I know you like the bike, but come on, man. They were $26.99 brand new.
Wait do you see what he's gonna ride in the 2022 fucking motorcycle
Cannonball?
Yeah.
I think we need to. The rules. You guys are going to talk about it, but keep in mind, I know where his brain was because as soon as I started watching that video, I was like, I know Hoffert's just there trying to think about what motorcycle from 1928 or earlier,
Yeah.
right? What 1929 or earlier is the weirdest, most obscure bullshit powered by a washing machine engine.
Yep.
Bike that he could find.
Well, he was bummed that the Vericar was there because then he's
Naracar.
like,
The Naracar.
Naracar, sorry, yeah,
The
Naracar.
Naracar,
2.5 horsepower.
Dude.
That dude was so. The guy that had the narrow.
Yeah.
We can talk about this later.
Yeah, it's fine. But seriously, not joking around. I knew that you were already in, like, I must conquer this challenge mode. I knew it. There was just no doubt that you were going there. So, well done. So, we are going to talk about, since we can do the world's heaviest crash segue.
Yeah.
So, tell the listeners what kind of a fun event you guys did.
Well, so Saturday I hit up. I was trying to find it because I was I painted my house all day Saturday. And I wanted to do something Saturday night. I was hoping to go out for a little ride, so I sent our group text and I said, "Hey, who's riding? Anybody at the bar, or whatever." And Hoff said, "You want to go to Napoleon tomorrow and see the fucking Cannonball?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I do. Okay." So at that point, it was done. I didn't know John was coming at that point, so I had to get up at 6. I was going to meet Steve in Oberlin at 8, which means I have to leave at 7. Got there, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, Opie's coming too."
Right on.
And so then John got there. We all left, and we.
I didn't say it.
No, you texted it. But so we went and we rode. It was a really beautiful day, perfect day to fucking ride. Perfect day. Nice 2.5 hour ride down, and then to my understanding, I thought we were trying to meet up with the 1920 racer guys, and kind of come up on them to go to the next stop. But what Steve had said is that he has some friends. So we were looking for a group of Harley riders to meet up with. So at probably 2.5 hours in, about 30 minutes away from Napoleon, we ended up unbelievably finding the guys and meeting
Which
up
is
with them.
insane.
Yeah.
Well, the odds of that happening are out of.
But I knew that. So the whole time I knew something was up though.
Right.
Because Steve never goes over 55, maybe 60, and he stops 175 miles before stop signs.
Right.
But he was doing 90 and not really stopping very often. And I was like, something's up.
I was calling him Roy McSquinny.
I can verify that ride we did out to Twin Hills, Steve never went over 50.
He likes to really milk a ride.
Yeah.
Get the most out of it. Yep.
So we went down and we got there and I thought it was going to be 7 motorcycles, 9 guys standing around, a couple guy with a beard going, "Yeah, back in my day, I had 10 of these." There was 1,500 fucking people there.
Oh yeah.
100 fucking vintage bikes.
I think the actual number was 88 that actually were there.
Oh, I think 100 started.
Yeah,
or something like that.
And there were some on the trailer. Speaking of crash segues, though, there was a beautiful an Indian.
Yeah.
With the front end just potato chipped, the front wheel and
Yeah, it
everything.
looked like a straight taco.
And the only way they fix that is hammer it all back out because there's no extra parts for it.
No, that's exactly
Make
it.
a new one.
Right. Yeah.
The best part though is that on the trailer they had kill Indian
strike marks.
Strike
trailer
marks,
had
Harleys.
the trailer had
Norton,
kill, right.
Norton,
Yeah.
Indian,
Harley.
Exactly.
Yep. So quite a few distinguished motorcycles spent some time on that trailer.
There were no Hendersons.
No Hendersons.
Yeah.
But it was weird. So it was a whole group. It was a dichotomy of people. Some of the guys really got into it and they got the vintage shirts and jackets and pants. And other guys looked like fucking the Vizioso.
Oh no, there were some definite
Moto.
guys wearing leather top to bottom, full technique racing suits, Arai helmets.
Yeah.
These guys were dressing for the crash, not the ride.
But you're only going 50. So I don't understand.
Well, again, have you ever fallen down at 50?
Yeah, I mean,
It sucks.
But if you had a period correct leather jacket and pants, you'd be okay. I don't think you need a fucking racing suit.
Look, need, maybe not.
Right.
Look, I drive a lot of shitty cars where I am the crash zone, right? If you see half the shit I drove to get pizza in today, I am the crumple zone. But I put my seatbelt on, right?
Yeah.
So as dumb as it is, like, oh, I'm so concerned about neck injury. Are you kidding me? My knees are going to go through my fucking nuts. There's no way I'm surviving a crash in that thing.
Your neck will survive.
My neck will survive.
That's all that'll
yeah.
survive.
Yeah, I'll be a neckaplegic. Yeah, that'll be it. It'll be a head and a jar. That's it.
But it's pretty cool. So like we were talking to a bunch of guys, and I didn't know I was going to make a video, but I always take a camera, like a little something with me. Just
I'm
in case.
glad you did. You did a great job.
That was a great video.
No, it's all right. But I mean, like, but it just happened. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just there. We were there.
It was perfect.
It was perfect. But like, talking to all these guys, these fuckers are on the road for like 18 days or 17 days.
Yeah.
They're doing 300 fucking miles a day.
Most people don't have 10 days off of work.
No. So I don't
And
know.
these guys are taking 18 days to ride incredibly inappropriate equipment.
The most impressive things were the tiny chicks riding these bikes that were, I mean, like the girl that
The Japanese girl.
R52.
Yeah.
She's like must weigh 90 pounds.
Yep.
And they can tool it in on the one on the Henderson.
Yep.
One on the R52. The one girl on the that Harley with the wicker sidecar.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, it's comforything. I have pillows in there. She's like, it's like lounging on the porch.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Except for what's happening 1 foot to your left. Everything that's happening 1 foot to your left, the occasional piston might wander through. That's it.
Well, and the other cool part was, so like, you look at people that are like, you know, riding motorcycles these days or just getting into them, right?
Right.
And you know, they're like, I think there was a drip of oil by the oil pan, and I'm a little worried because I changed the oil and I'm pretty sure I tightened it, but it seemed to have an oil drip.
No,
right?
these bikes have a 7 diaper a day habit.
Yeah, it's insane. Like the class of people that are riding now would have no interest in these bikes.
No.
Like the reason that they're not rusted hunks of shit is because they've been covered in oil for 100 fucking years.
It's a 100% oil bath.
They're riding in, and the guys from the dealership have arms full of cardboard.
Running,
and
little
they're just
kids.
running and like they're tossing the cardboard.
They're doing
underneath
concrete
the-
preservation?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
But-
that's Camaro.
But they had to, because as soon as they stopped, it was a fucking constant pouring.
I
of
love
oil.
it. I would be telling my friends about that for the next 20 years.
A 100-year-old motorcycle made that
Pissed
fucking
right there.
spot.
Right. And
Yeah,
you wanna-
until all their other fucking Harley guys that just spent $38,000 on a fat bob come in and slide sideways across the fucking parking lot.
Even better. No.
Right?
That's how you can tell it's a real Harley Davidson dealership.
But the dude was explaining. Okay, so the guy we talked to quite a bit, and his wife or his significant other or whatever were riding Hendersons.
Yeah.
And so they had open valve trains and whatever. But he's explaining how, he said the rock arms are wearable parts.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So he's explaining how the Harleys have to ride like 40 to 60 miles.
And then
they have to add 4 ounces
of oil.
Oh,
It's
a squirt. It's a squirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they add 4 ounces of oil.
They have to dump the other one.
Because it's a total loss.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he said that the Hendersons have a standard crankcase that,
Wet
they'll
sump.
change the oil, but their oil doesn't have to be changed until the end of the day.
Well, I found it interesting. I got to actually stand there while the young woman and her husband was riding another Henderson. But she basically just went back in her little back box, pulled out a little oiler, and she was like, click, 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 and went down the right side of the bike. Various two drops here, 2 drops here, 2 drops on each rocker, and that's what your valve train, that's how it's getting oiled.
And
a couple drops of oil every
the
time you
Henderson
stop.
guys, for spare parts, the one dude had a box of springs.
Yeah.
And so his one valve, like when he came in, his bike was like, pop, pop, pop. And he was like, oh yeah, my valve's stuck.
Right.
Hold on. And then the spring broke. So he uncoiled this thing, put a new spring on, kicked it again. Now it's running.
Now it's
fine.
running great. Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. Like
But-
valve adjustments are real easy.
Yeah, they are.
Well, speaking of valve
Pretty much
adjustments,
do it in flight.
the second place guy. So the points is, based on your time, your mileage, but you're also weighted
your
heavily on the age of the bike and the age of the rider.
operator. Yeah.
So the leader was an older guy on a 1909 Harley Davidson.
Right. Yeah.
The second place guy was on like a 1912 or something like that.
You got it backwards.
No,
the Indian was 1909. The Harley was 1914.
Okay, but it was the
1911.
1911, yeah.
But it was the Indian that had the atmospheric valve.
Yes.
So you're talking an atmospheric valve. There's no rocker. There's no nothing. It just has a very light spring, and whenever the piston draws vacuum, the valve opens and lets it in. And this guy and they said that they've never had a bike finish the race with an atmospheric valve.
No, why would it?
Yeah.
And the cool part was the one guy was so jazzed. The two guys that were in the lead, he's the guy in the white and black stripey thing that I talked on the video. Yeah. So him and those guys were in the lead, and he was so stoked that it was an Indian versus Harley, just like the old days. You know,
loving every second of that.
Single speed, pedal start, belt drive, and a sprocket in the back.
Oh, giant! Was size of a dryer drum.
Was this big.
Yep.
And it was so cool when he started. He said he gets on it, he's pedaling, it's like,
well, that's you know what it reminded me of? Did you ever watch that movie Chitty Chitty Bang Bang when you were a kid?
Yes.
All these bikes sounded like that. They're like, and every once in a while it made like a boing.
It was the right blend of Willy Wonka and Willie G.
Yeah, I expected bubbles to be coming out of the fucking tailpipe at any time, man.
But you know, the operation of these bikes is such that they a lot of times are like holding the bike back because. Like with that belt drive system, you have a leather.
That's your clutch.
To start off, you give it till it starts dragging, then you leave it there, and it's pulling a little bit, and then you let it go.
Let the bike catch up to it.
You can stop, and it'll drag and everything, but it's still pulling all the time.
It's such a contraption.
Yeah, and then the dudes, like some of the guys have been doing it for a while. You know, you're talking. A couple guys I talked to, they didn't want to be on camera, but they were talking. You know.
Yeah.
And the one dude had a belt around his waist, and it wrapped around twice.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's the story with that? And he goes,
that's
check
my
this
drive
out.
belt.
Yeah, and he pulled the end. He didn't take it off, but he's like, if my drive belt breaks,
I got another one.
This is the right size. Here's the holes, and I have a riveter in my bag.
Oh yeah, he does.
I have a new belt.
That's so fucking cool.
Yeah,
man.
They were talking that so far the race has been all pretty much flatland.
Yeah, absolutely.
But now they're looking at going down through the mountains and everything.
So where is this race going to end?
Florida, I thought
you said Florida.
So when you consider there is a bit of terrain between here and Florida, you know, you think Cleveland to Florida, it's the flat part of America, but we do have, you know, the edge of the Alleghenies and Appalachians that they've got to go through. So yeah, there's some elevation they got to deal with.
Him and his buddy, the one guy had a Henderson, was a 3-speed.
Yeah.
And he was stoked about the hills because he's like, I fucking got gears.
I got gears.
So the buddy who builds all the bikes.
I was going to say, I noticed the one guy, he's a famous motor builder for Henderson.
Yes, and he's 24. He's been doing it since he's 13 because of his dad.
And he builds Henderson motors, and he's the guy, and we always joke, we're like, if you ever know a really good car mechanic, like a guy who's an ace car mechanic, I want to tell you how you can tell he's driving a $300 car.
Yeah.
So like an ace car mechanic is always driving a $300 car. It's just the way it works. Everybody I know in my life who's ever been a great car mechanic is driving a car. You're like, come on, really?
Yeah.
But
it's called the cobbler's shoes.
It is the cobbler's shoes. That dude's running a 1-speed.
1-speed.
9-speed. So it has one gear to go from idle to maximum velocity.
Yeah, it's 0 to 60 in 4 hours, but it's 1 speed.
But it's 1 speed.
It's a 0.
Yeah.
It's a 0.
So I asked him, if you watch the video, I asked him, I'm like, so when you get to the hills, what do you do? He goes, you have to prepare and get a good run up.
Yeah, get a good run up. Absolutely. Yeah. Because exactly, what do you do to start when you're on a hill?
Yeah, I don't know.
Come on, you don't. You go back the other way and get another run at her.
Yeah.
Oh, what a mess.
Or you'd have to sit there and like slip your belt
forever until smoke comes out.
Yeah.
I can't
have a
even
feeling
imagine.
because that other guy was like his fanboy.
Yeah.
The other guy. I have a feeling that there's a rope somewhere on that guy's bike.
Yeah,
You know?
that's probably true.
Yeah.
That's the tractor beam. Yeah, that's the. So you got 3 gears. I got 1 gear.
Yeah.
So which means you got 2 gears for me.
Yeah. It all depends on what the rules are, though. You know what I mean? Are you allowed to have help? Are you allowed to have this?
Hey.
The rule is you are not allowed to have any of your chase team touch the bike while you're
competing,
going from point A to point B. So
good.
you have to repair your own bike on the road by yourself.
Hey.
The funny thing was there was a 1922 Harley sitting outside of the service bay and the guy was working on it.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, I'm like, I think your warranty's kind of expired on this.
Fair game on that one.
You know, it was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So and you can see in the video too, I talked to this big doofy big
I
guy.
saw it,
Right?
He said his seat was still a
he bought it
viable
a
part
month
number.
ago.
Yeah.
It's a 1912 fucking Harley Davidson like leather tractor seat.
Yeah.
And it's still a part number and you can still buy it.
Hell,
to this
fuck
day.
yeah. Absolutely.
Henderson's cost 3 times as much as a Model T.
Yeah.
They were $800 in the day.
So like
you could buy 3
when
Model
you think
Ts.
about that, you're like, okay, I need to get to work in the morning.
Yeah.
Do I buy 3 Model Ts or 1 motorcycle?
But police departments scooped them up like crazy because they would do a legit 70 mile an hour in an era of where 40.
Nothing would go that fast.
Yeah.
So why were they so much more expensive? Is it just demand, or
Because
is
they're
there
an
less
inline,
material?
a longitudinal inline 4-cylinder.
Right.
with a 3-speed gearbox, which nobody had.
It was like rocket technology compared to fucking.
And I'll bet you they probably took a shit ton of hours to put together. You know, putting a Model T down the assembly line and cranking out a Model T every 9 minutes versus a Henderson, which probably takes a week and a half to build.
Yeah, those were hand sand casted fucking
Well, that's what I was about to say.
everything,
Like
and
when
then-
you're looking at so when they started lining up, you know, the one guy was like, "Yeah, that's a 1911, and this is a 1911. They're different.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
they were still hand built.
Yeah,
like that tank has a little bit of a different top edge to it, and the front's a little different. And stuff.
People forget that when we ride something, anything you ride today, there's no such thing as a rare version of whatever it is you're riding today, because there had to be like 25 or 30 of them that got tested for 10,000 miles or 20,000 miles before they ever actually sold one to anybody.
Right.
You know, there had to be so many Phase Zero prototypes out there. And we've had a few Phase Zero prototypes here at the shop. And I can tell you, that shit doesn't get sold to anybody. That either goes back to the factory and taken apart, or it gets put in a box somewhere, or somebody somewhere crushes it or says they crushed it.
Right.
Back then it was like, oh, this guy wants to pay us $900 for a motorcycle. Build him one.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, so well, what are you building him? Well, the one that we built last week, we figured out a way to do that a little bit better. So now his one is different than the other one.
Yep.
So yeah, it's probably not the kind of thing where you're like, oh yeah, they're all the same.
And then some of these companies might have only produced 100 bikes in their entire life.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. I've got a 1952 Vespa, and I can still go to a certain website and I can get parts for my 1952 Vespa in a few days, which is amazing.
Yeah.
These guys are riding motorcycles where it's like, okay, I need this part. Who's going to make it for me?
Well, that's what John and the thing John said. Like, these are great bikes if you own 2 machine shops.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
And the one guy said, because I said, what does it take to get into this? He said, a bike and a shitload of money.
That seems to be an accurate representation of the truth.
So I said, I'm out.
Yeah. You start talking to these guys, right? And like I said, like the one guy asked him, you know, how much did this bike cost? And he's like, I got it for $35,000.
Right.
And it came in 9 boxes and a frame.
Yeah.
And I spent the last year and a half putting it together, and now I've been riding it. I was like, wow, that's pretty good. He goes, well, I have 52 other bikes. I was like, fucking A, dude.
Well, and I did notice there was a little bit of Kentucky windage there in your interviews.
Yeah.
Because you interviewed one guy and said, well, how many miles do you ride a day? And the guy's like, we ride between 120 and 250 miles a day.
Yeah.
And then you interviewed another guy and said, how many miles do you ride a day? And he says, well, we ride between 300 and 400 miles a day.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I want to be on that first guy's ride. Because that first guy's getting away easy. I don't know what route he's taking, but I'm going to follow him because it sounds to me like you're putting in an extra 100 and some miles you don't need to put in. So I think there might have been a little bit of, you know,
So
maybe
this-
the Speedos weren't that accurate.
This thing's ending in Florida. Where did it start at?
Portland or no? Wait, where did they start?
No, I thought it started like Michigan or somewhere in New York.
No,
Yeah.
Was it
Yeah.
Michigan or something?
Yeah.
So wait, so 2020 they did Portland, Oregon to Portland, Maine, right? That
Oh
one
my
year?
God.
They did that. It was 3,300 miles. This year was like 2,800 miles or
I thought 3,800,
3,800.
but I could be wrong.
He said, no, it was 3,800 miles. But
It's
I think
still
they're
way too
looping
much.
around like.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing I thought too was the guy said you don't have to have you have to have the case. You have to have the original engine case.
The motor case, right.
But everything else can be. You could put tapered Timken bearings in it. You could put forged pistons in. You could do everything you want to it. And he said that there's like 2 schools of people riding there. There's the people who leave it totally original. They're going to say, I'm going to make it on this original thing. And there's people that spend like $100,000 making everything custom and brand new. So the engine's basically a brand new engine that looks like an old engine.
Yeah.
But almost every single one of them had additional gas tanks.
Yep, I saw that.
All this other stuff. So like they were laid out. And then Chris Smith actually, you know, he's not here today. He had mouth surgery, but he was like, hey, talk about this. And it was kind of cool. So it was really interesting to see these old ass bikes. But then on the handlebars, they had the giant rally cross fucking map turner wheelie thing. Like it's a giant scroll. Yep. And then next to it,
Turn by turn directions.
Yeah. And then next to it, they'd have either like the Vapor Trails mileage counter or like a Garmin mileage
proper
counter.
odometer.
They're not allowed to have a GPS. There's no GPS
I read
allowed
that.
or anything like that. So what they have to do is you have to have an accurate mileage counter because all the turns on this whole fucking thing are miles. So like as the miles... So if it says 2.3 miles, you have to go look down, and at 2.3 miles, then you have to click that fucking thing to the next turn.
Oh, yeah.
So they're riding bikes that take 7 arms and 3 legs to operate while they're fucking turning these things.
Yeah.
It's really,
I mean, these don't even have auto advance. I mean, you like to start the bike up, you have to retard your ignition. You have to do all that. And then
my 45 Harley didn't have automatic advance. That was, I mean, when you think about a motorcycle that's 20 years older than that Harley I had, it's frightening to me because I can tell you how much fun it wasn't to ride that old fucking
and the tires
WLA.
are this fucking wide. They're
Yeah.
like 10-speed tires.
Yeah.
They're fucking tiny, man.
And it was funny when I saw people pulling away, and those tires are giant, 24-inch or massive tires. And I saw that some of them had modern, like Avon tread.
Yeah.
Like that. So clearly there's somebody making those tires in that diameter.
Well, they were Avons.
Yeah. That I saw, there was the one clearly had like an Avon tread pattern.
Yeah.
So
Well, you figured they got them off a donk.
there you go.
Somebody's making a 24-inch for their Harley.
Oh, and if that guy that crashed the Indian, that had the blown up Indian on the back of the trailer with that front wheel that looked like a fucking Pringle.
Yeah.
He just goes, grabs the front wheel off a donk.
Yeah.
Big chrome thing with razor blades and shit on it.
Just do the whole front end swap.
Just take the front end off of it.
Might as well put some lights and stuff in a
Yeah,
sound
go
system.
ahead. Why not? Make it cool.
But so just as we were sitting there when we first got there, one bike pulls in, and I'm talking to John with the camera, like, "Hey, where are we at?"
Right.
He goes, "Hey, here's a bike pulling in," and it was that Barrack, whatever the
The
fuck,
Narracar. So the Narracar was this whole idea that was to be different. So to be different than a lot of other motorcycles at the time, somebody looked at the idea of a motorcycle and went, "You guys are all doing it wrong."
You're building a bicycle.
Right, and you're
You need
taking
to start with a car.
Exactly. So rather than taking a bicycle and putting a motor into a bicycle, which pushes all the shit from the road up onto the operator, and you look like a bag of smashed assholes on your way to work, right? How about this? How about we just take half a car?
Right.
So we got fenders and everything else, and you sit on it in a more respectable fashion, and you just put a small motor down there. And that was the Narracar. So that Narracar,
the motor's fucking nuts because like it's got the cylinder, and then a space with something sticking out of it, and then another thing, and then another space to it.
At first, I thought it was a Twingle, but it's not.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was
It was an L head.
It was like an L. So your cylinder's over here, but your spark plug was over
way
here.
back.
It was like
It's bizarre.
Very weird.
But the dude, when I was watching the guy, he was a young guy.
Yeah.
He was like late 20s maybe,
Sure.
or early 30s.
30, yeah.
And he had his bag there, and he was laying things out like I watched him. He set them on the ground. He
Always
laid
be
them out
knowing.
like it was like almost like OCD. He was
Good.
like ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding. And then he took one thing at a time, and he placed them like this in his bags.
Yeah.
And then he got up. He walked like 5 steps away from the bike, and he was wearing like a Gilligan hat,
Yeah.
like one of those.
bucket hat.
Yeah. And he was just standing there like looking at his bike, like to make sure everything was cool.
Okay,
I
well,
guess, so.
that's what it takes. Yeah. Hey, look, nobody says, getting into orbit's easy, but then when you got to do it on the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, that's a totally different
Right.
scene. You're going to want a certain amount of OCD there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like every terrible scooter that like I don't know, like some of the Chinese ones, like the Vinos, the Yamaha Vino, but then all the Chinese Vino copies.
The Vino clones. Yes, exactly.
They must have looked at the Narracar or whatever.
Narracar.
I keep saying, I don't know why.
Yeah.
Anyways, they looked at the Narracar and they were like, that naked handlebar sticking out of that giant pile of shit.
Oh, there were
looks
so
really good.
many Chinese scooters that were like, we need to put bigger beach bars on it.
Yeah.
Like the bike is 18 inches wide, the bars are 46 inches wide.
So that the Narracar is like it's like big swooping beautiful fucking thing.
Gorgeous.
The thing, and then it's like a handlebar just fucking sticking out of the
It's
middle.
literally
just shit
sticking
just-
out of the middle of it.
Yeah.
It could have been a steering wheel.
Yeah.
It was a mile of wire.
Yeah, just
The
shit.
guy had wire like there must have been a mile of wire in this.
I think that might have been the voltage regulator. So what's the resistance on this wire? Okay, we need 75 feet of it. Okay, we're good.
So we all hang out and we have a good time. It was way. I mean, like I knew it was gonna be cool. We always have fun when we ride, but it ended up being way fucking cool.
That's really cool. Yeah.
So we're all getting ready to leave, and then they're gonna leave. So we're gonna let the guys go, and we get to see some of the guys take off and stuff. And so we all pull over and we wait, and then so we're getting on the highway.
And there was a crowd. I gotta say, there were so many people there. It shocked me when I saw your wide shot.
Yeah.
Because I was like, holy fuck! I expected there to be like 200 people there checking it out. Due to word of mouth and the internet, there were 1,000 people there.
Dude,
Yeah.
and there were a lot of confused people too, because they all had their cuts on, their professional cuts, and they had their. And I noticed like the new, like, well, I guess it's not new; it's been around, whatever. But all the guys, their vests don't fit anymore.
No, it's the,
so they have
the vest
chain
extenders. Yeah, they're the chain extenders.
But so there were so many vests.
You can have chain drive nipples.
Yeah. So many vests that had like FUBAR.
Oh, yeah.
I drink until I die.
Right.
And if you touch me, I'll murder you and all this stuff. And then next to it, Jesus. Like
in the tattoo community, those would be like $25, tattoos. And they all have like the extra $1 patch.
Yeah.
It's just like a black patch with a red outline and a little red, trite saying in the middle of it.
Yep.
And it's just like, okay, yeah.
I walked, so
that's flair.
Oh yeah. And so when we were all standing there, and I don't know if you guys heard this guy, I'm sure you did. So one of the spectators came in and he had what can only be described as like concert level sound system on his motorcycle. But he was a white dude that looked like he just finished welding something and like was coming on his Harley or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And so then I went and I found John a cookie and I was getting something to drink. And I saw these guys discussing and he was standing there and he had the diamond patch.
Oh, he did.
And so all the guys are like, I don't know if he earned that. You going to talk to him? I'm not going
to talk to him. No, he's got the diamond patch on
it. So I don't know.
Diamond, I don't even know what that is.
It means that he's an official 1%er. He's been in a 1% motorcycle gang. He's like the guy.
See, and I was trying to figure it out. Okay, so
to give you an idea, that diamond patch is extremely rare. They're $5 at the motorcycle show, and for an extra $2, they'll sew it on.
But
so a poser could get it.
Well, but the thing is that if you, like you always hear these stories about, you're like, we saw that video of the guy getting shit for wearing the Sons of Anarchy cut, whatever. Yeah. But legitimately, like apparently, like if 20 Hell's Angels,
I'm gonna have to call you on this. You just said the word legitimately.
What? Well, I'm okay.
Okay.
All right, back it down. All right, whatever. But if 20 Hell's Angels were at Smedley's and that dude fucking showed up, they could call him out and probably beat his ass for wearing that and not.
And anytime anybody beats you up or threatens to beat you up because of your accessories, I'm going to call bullshit on that. Because real people who are real hard asses don't have time for that.
And they probably don't give a shit.
And they don't give a shit. Exactly.
I don't know, man.
But what I was trying to figure out, okay, so all these people, there's like a million leather jackets there.
Right.
And I'm trying to figure out the rocker thing.
Yeah.
So if you have a patch and then like...
So there's 3-piece patches.
Do you remember when we were kids?
There's 1 piece, which is not outlaw.
Do you guys remember when we were kids, or probably the kids that were just a little younger than you? They used to have a thing called Garanimals. Do you guys remember Garanimals?
Yeah.
You could wear a hippo, right, with a gorilla, but you couldn't wear a hippo with a tiger. Right? Because the gorilla, like the purple colored animals, you could wear those and so you could match your clothes. Yeah. So when we went to school, you didn't look like a tie, right? So you had Garanimals for parents that couldn't match colors. Like if your dad was colorblind, you'd buy Garanimals, and it was a whole series of clothes. And it was about the same time Underoos happened, so kids could be proud of their underwear, right? So Underoos and Garanimals is what I like to call today's modern 1%er biker lifestyle brotherhood fashion. So if I can look at you and I have to decode you through a spectrum analyzer, in the gay community, they used to have the same thing with bandanas, the color of the bandana and which pocket you carried it in. It's the same system. It just means different stuff. And in the skinhead community, we used to say, what color were the laces in your boots? What color were the braces on your pants? And every community that's ever had that
means something.
Laces
and braces.
If in your world it means something, you need to grow up and move into a different world. I'm going to tell you, I've been in a few of these communities before. The best thing you can do is leave. If somebody's judging you based on the color of your suspenders, the only color that I've known now in my life is big, wide red suspenders. Right. It means you're an old man and you ride a Moto Guzzi.
I just don't trust anybody who wears blue and white striped shirts.
Blue and white striped shirts.
Ever.
Who does that?
So one of the other things I kind of noticed from talking to some of these guys, because they saw me like taking video, of course the guys that come up and, what kind of camera is it? It was like, it's a fucking action camera. I didn't even intend to film.
What kind of camera is that?
It's a fucking little, but the best part, he's like, where, so you're going to make a video? I'm like, yeah. He goes, where can I see it? I'm like, I go, we have a channel on YouTube. He goes, oh yeah, you're going to put out a DVD?
Yes.
Like, no,
we're going straight to VHS, motherfucker. We're going straight to VHS.
No, beta
if you want quality.
Yeah. So
we're going straight to VHS.
We have this awesome afternoon. It was really wonderful. And then I kind of forgot how far away we were.
Right.
Like it's not close, right?
No, it's a hike.
So we had joined up with.
There's one thing we should mention.
Okay.
We were pulling out of it, and I think you were getting ready to talk about it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And lo and behold, the police have not a regular motorcyclist pulled over.
Of which there are plenty to choose from.
No, he pulled a contestant over.
He pulled in red. The guy that I talked to, the Henderson motorcycle builder guy.
Oh, that lovely young gentleman who's responsible for like 6 of the bikes in the event.
Yeah, and he's pulled over, and
he's the guy who gets pulled over.
And you could see as we were kind of passing him to get on the highway, he's pointing at the event, going, "Ah."
I have to, officer. I respect what you're doing.
The officer is sitting there looking at his license plate and pointing about something that turn signals, horn.
Oh my God!
Yeah, really
irrelevant.
Yeah.
Totally irrelevant.
But I mean, these bikes, like some of them would have had, what do you call it? Not argon.
Carbide.
Carbide lamps.
Yeah, carbide
the
lanterns.
headlight would have
I
been
noticed that. I noticed that like all the bikes there had carbide lanterns. Yeah.
Well, a lot of them had a LED mounted in there.
Yeah,
and then like the one guy even had a little solar panel on the back so he could charge his LED little headlight.
Again, officer, I don't know your name. There's rules. Those are historical vehicles. You know what you don't do? You don't fuck with historical vehicles.
What are they going to do? Speed?
You don't fuck with... You don't... Look... You just don't fuck with them.
Right.
This motorcycle is 100 years old.
It is an
older than your
infinitesimal
grandpappy.
percentage of the vehicles on the road. If you see the mom with 9 kids in the car and no child seats and a wooden front bumper, pull her over. But don't pull over the guy driving a bike you can't identify because you're curious and you know there's got to be something wrong there.
Right.
You know what? We used to call police cars Mr. Nosy Mobiles. And that's all it is. It's like, I see something I don't understand, but I'm driving the car that lets me learn more about it whenever the fuck I want.
I got pulled over in Rocky River.
Yeah.
On my passport.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
The guy pulls me over. And you know what he says to me?
I'm dying to find out.
I just bought my daughter a moped.
Exactly.
I'm like, so why are you pulling me
So
over?
for
He's
that-
like, because I just bought my daughter a moped.
Yeah,
and
that
I
doesn't
wanted-
qualify.
I'm like, so you're harassing me.
So I'm going to get this straight. So for your curiosity, you engaged your emergency lighting. You performed an illegal action of stopping on the road and pulling me over and for no cause whatsoever, other than to be like, I like turtles. Dude, don't do that shit. I used to be a police officer. Stop. The first 3 rules I can tell you are the ABCs. Always be cool, motherfucker. Always be cool. And if you think that you're going to pull Steve over to talk because you just bought your daughter a moped, you're not being cool. You are, I like turtles. Fuck you. Go back to work. Go eat a donut. I don't give a shit what you're doing, but leave me the fuck alone.
Well, I like donuts too.
I love donuts. Don't get me wrong. Love me some goddamn
One thing
donuts.
we can agree on.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
You know, now that you
We're going to
mentioned
Gibson's tomorrow morning.
now that you mentioned donuts, how was the cookie he got you?
Delicious.
Yeah, see,
I thought it was. See, I took care of him.
That was Harley coffee.
Sorry, right out. It's all delicious.
But-
so that's fucking cool.
Well, really quick.
Yeah.
So we rode basically together for 3 hours on the way down there.
Yep.
No issues. We
No,
stay in our
yeah,
little
right,
things, whatever.
right, yeah.
Then we meet up with these guys, and Steve has a whole group of pals now. These Harley guys.
Right. Yeah.
No, one guy's my friend. He asked.
Okay.
Don't interrupt him. Shut up.
So basically those guys, those were all the other guys. So like they were all nice enough guys.
Right,
Totally
yeah.
nice guys. Totally
Right.
nice guys.
Yeah.
So we decide that we're gonna roll out with them, right? And everybody's like, why do you guys always bag out a bunch of Harley riders?
Right.
So we roll out and we get on the highway. We roll about 3 minutes and then we
Yeah.
have to stop 15 times. One guy stops and pulls off. Everybody slows
Yep.
down to see if he's okay. He's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
fuck you guys, go on. Then 5 minutes later, the whole group stops because one guy wants to go this way, one guy wants to go that way. One guy's bike's too loud. This guy's bike's making a noise. And we're all sitting, me and John are looking at each other like,
It's like herding cats.
This ain't working, man.
Yep.
We're like, fuck this.
Yeah.
And we took off.
We took off. It's terrible. Like they ride like spaghetti. It's the only way I can describe it, man.
Those fucking Harley riders.
Yeah. Well, you didn't show up with 15 guys dressed as cowboys, so you're all right, dude.
No, we caught up. Okay, so just
You weren't the 11th Captain Jack Sparrow that showed up here today.
to put it in perspective, we pulled into the spot where they were supposed to stop and get gas. Okay.
Okay.
And this is on the way there.
Right.
I looked at my phone and he had texted me 21 minutes before.
Right.
We caught up with him
in 4
10
minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. We were like on them in like 10 minutes.
Years and years and years ago, I rode to Sturgis with a bunch of guys on Harleys. And when I showed up, the first question all these guys asked me, every single one of them asked me the same thing. How many miles can you go between Phillips on that bike? That was the question everybody had to ask me. And I'm like, about 130 miles. It's a Honda, it's a Honda, about 130 miles. Oh, that's not going to do, man. It's not going to do. We go 240 miles between fuel stops. I went, okay, all right. Sounds dumb, but I'll let it slide. If you want to ride for legit straight up 3.5 hours without getting off your motorcycle, that's fine. I don't see any reason why I would do that. But if that's the way your particular group of people like to ride, I will respect that. And so then off we fucked. And I was the guy in a Honda, and there were 47 other Harley Davidsons. And these guys are all out on their FLHs and doing their thing. And they're all, but like you said, nobody was going in a straight line at all.
Spaghetti, dude.
It was a mess. I don't know why there was an accordion effect happening when we were literally on a 70-mile-an-hour road across 8 or 9 states.
Right.
Why there had to be an accordion effect was beyond me. And I eventually just got so frazzled from riding with them, I was just like, oh, hell it. Like, my road march speed is 90 miles an hour. The speed I like to travel when I'm going somewhere is 80 to 90 miles per hour. And so I was like, okay, you guys, it's been great, but Indiana was torture, and I'm not going to do that through Iowa as well. So I just got out in front and fucked off. And by the time I got to the big Iowa 80 truck stop, the big monster Iowa 80 truck stop, I pulled in, I put gas in my Honda, I went inside, I went to the bathroom, I may have gotten a small sandwich or something like that. I came out, and I was like, man, I'm sure that at any moment, this parade of Harley Davidsons that I was riding with is going to pull into the gas stop, or at least drive past the gas stop to live up to their whole, 240 miles at a crack. And I figured I'd hang out there for a minute. And after about 3 minutes, I was like, this is stupid. And I got back on the interstate and I fucked off, and I gaily proceeded forward. And I did. And then I got to Wyoming, and I stopped in Wyoming, and I was like, okay, well, this is a spot where everybody said we were going to stop. So I stopped, and I was like, okay. And I went in, and I got to the bar, and I was like, well, I got people coming in. So after half an hour, I just gave up on that, and I ordered my meal, and I had my drink, and I had a cigarette and everything else, and I had the bike gassed up, and I fucking proceeded merrily forward again. And for these guys who only want to stop every 240 fucking miles, and my poor Honda that have a 125-mile range can't possibly keep up, I got to Sturgis 6.5 hours before they did.
I'll tell you why that happened.
Enlighten me.
Chris Smith was riding with them.
I'm convinced that when you have a group that big, nobody should say anything other than this is the start point, this is the destination point, right? This is where we're starting. This is where we're ending.
We'll see you when we get there.
You don't need to go down the road like the world's most broken train. It's like the idea of being a stupid parade at 65 miles an hour or something is just dumb. Like, plus it's also tantamount to like asking for trouble. Like, I don't care if like, hey, Mitch, what's going on? You could tap him in the ass or something because you're on motorcycles and you want to be like Ponch and John or some shit.
I was riding one time and the guy reached over and he hit my kill switch.
Wait, you did that to me.
I don't know who.
You did that to me.
No, I did that to John.
I think we've all been there. Yeah, that's it. That's just it. But I was like,
no, you put my kickstand down or something.
this whole fantasy of 240 miles on a tank of gas seems a little unnecessary. Yeah.
Well, I did the extended tank on my 1800, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever drained both of them because I'm like, I just didn't want to stop that often, but I still wanted to stop.
You still want to stop,
right? Like, I just didn't want to stop at 100 miles.
Yeah, I don't care if I'm driving a truck with a 30-gallon gas tank. Mother Nature says if I don't want to pee in a big gulp cup, I need to pull over. Right. Occasionally.
A bunch of years ago when I picked up my Super T, it was 30 degrees outside, so I rode 6 hours straight home.
Oh yeah, right.
I got home, I took like 57 showers trying to warm up, and I finally went to bed. And I woke up in the middle of the night and somebody was strangling me. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it was my taint. And it had stood up and it was trying to fucking kill me. It's riding that long does no good.
Cool, man. It is not good.
No.
On the final phase of our ride, it was like, I think we did almost 100 miles, you know.
Yeah, it was good.
We didn't, no feet down. We just
go
blasted all
for
the way
it.
back, just trying to get back.
Oh, yeah. What happened to you? So we were all doing 70 or 80, and all of a sudden Steve's gone. He was doing 50.
No, when you pass the, you know where the turnpike comes out on 90 again?
Yeah.
The cops are always there every single day, so I just slowed down because I didn't really feel like, I mean, I figured we were doing 80 plus the whole time, weaving through traffic and going like down the turnpike, down Route 2. Everything was cool. I thought our luck was good.
Oh, you figured at that point you'd earned a ticket.
And I think, and then John like feather broke off, and then he was like, and I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll follow John. John's fucking
Nancy to get home.
He's one-handed, fucking flipping people off, riding sideways, fucking everything.
And then he stopped you, and he got down to about 5 miles an hour on the turnpike.
Do you want to get off here at 4?
He's like talking. Everybody on the
we getting off here at 4?
18-wheelers are full stop. What the fuck is going on here? That's fucking great.
And then he couldn't get his bike wouldn't activate the thing at the turnpike.
Oh yeah, the
pushing buttons. He's like he's bouncing on the pads. He's like
blowing my horn. I'm like,
oh man.
I think it's because I went through with my Easy Pass.
Yes, the Easy Pass. Yeah.
But he went through,
right,
and I rolled in behind him, but I didn't wait for the gate to close, so I went right in.
He fucked it
up.
up.
I did. I'm pretty sure
You'd fuck up a one-car funeral if it was your own.
Because I rolled through with him,
right,
and then I wouldn't open the gate.
No, because a violation had occurred.
You dicked me.
And the system is so fucked up. It's like 2 people snuck through. We're only there should be 1. Okay, we're shutting this one down now.
I'm like, that guy didn't pay. His name is Steve Hofford. You can clearly see his license plate. I'll testify.
Right. Never be afraid to throw a brother under the bus.
One of the guys in the turnpike, I did the same thing. I was trying to get through the gate and it wouldn't open.
Yeah.
He came over. He's like, it's actually way to activate.
Well, that's why I was bouncing on the pad.
Yeah. Right.
But I backed up and I rolled over and I crammed the brakes. And I was like, I'm like, come on, spit out a fucking
That's a
ticket.
big trick. I took my Easy Pass and I put it in my pocket. And then when I pull up to the thing, when I pull up to the sensor for the Easy Pass, I take it out of my pocket and I hold it up. So I hold it up above my head, fucking every single time it activates.
See, I did that and it wouldn't open.
Yeah. So the one time Oscar and I are traveling out west and I got the Easy Pass like up on the dashboard of the van. So I'm rolling and I go through this thing and, bullshit, thing doesn't go up, right? So thing doesn't go up. I'm like, what the motherfucker is going on? So I'm like, now I'm blocking traffic and everything else is all fucked up. There's nobody in the booth, right? So now I got to back up and find another booth. And a major pain in the ass. So I get to another one and they're like, there's a $5 fine for improper placement of Easy Pass.
What?
And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And she's like, yeah, your Easy Pass is on your dashboard. It has to be on the window above your mirror.
And the reason that is some of them don't have a thing where you can just fly through.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't read you, it takes a picture, and then they can look and verify that you have an Easy Pass, and then they read your license plate, and they bill your Easy Pass manually.
Fair enough.
They have to be able to see your Easy Pass in the window.
Right. But I mean, instead of being up here, it just happened to be down because I moved the same Easy Pass to 19 different vehicles.
Not good enough.
I know. And so when she's like, well, it's an improper thing, it has to be so high. And I'm like, this is a Ford E350. On my dashboard is higher than any Asian car ever.
Do you have a problem following rules?
I do. Thank you. Yeah, I do.
Well, it's under the windshield wiper. It doesn't read like if a windshield wiper is like over the Easy Pass.
Ninja, please. Come on. That thing is giving out a
Thank
single.
you.
No, it's
Thank you.
on my Africa Twin. I have the windshield has a bar.
I had my wife's Easy Pass in my glove box, and we got binged on both accounts.
Really?
Yeah. In the glove box. Yeah.
Mine
and I was like,
doesn't
how do we
work.
get binged on 2 cars at one
wrap
time?
them in tinfoil.
Again. And that's why the system is broken. And that's why our space program will be secondary to the fucking Italians in 20 years. Yeah.
Can you imagine an Italian space program?
I ride Italian motorcycles. No, I couldn't.
We know what the food
Hey,
will be.
Luigi, we need a secondary pressurization system. We can't. Where are we going to put the cappuccino machine?
Wait, we tied them together.
All right, so to change subjects radically, I made everybody in the podcast tonight ride 2 bikes. So I forced everyone to ride 2 particular bikes.
Well, we kind of rode 3 though. Considering.
Yeah, well, because Chris was being very generous with his. So what we have at the shop this week, is
Oh, nice.
yeah, choppa. So we have wheelie in the chopper bunch. So we have the new from Genuine Scooter Company. It's called the Rattler 200i, and
and it lives up to the name Rattle.
Yeah, okay.
I wish I had a slide
Right.
whistle. When he said that, I should have gone.
Yeah, and then we have the Kimco People 150S,
Claps.
which by the way, everyone in the world when they call it the Peoples.
Yeah.
Because the S is right after the word people.
Yeah.
So it's the People's 150.
Power to the peoples.
Power to the Peoples. Only comes in black and blue. So that's how you get your
no
Peoples.
communist motorcycle.
No, it's the motorcycle of the
dude.
Peoples.
Good thing it's not from Germany.
But the reason I wanted these bikes to come out, and
Peoples.
the reason I thought it'd be fun to bring the bikes out, is these are the 2 newest offerings from 2 companies that aren't Vespa. And aren't Honda. They're not Yamaha. And these are 2 bikes that... So the Rattler you guys were riding, when Genuine used to have the Rattler 110. The Rattler 110 was a 2-stroke. And it was a 2-stroke automatic scooter, and it was made by a company called PGO.
And it had kind of a Zuma look to it, didn't
It did. It had a little bit of like
bug eyes and
twin
stuff,
projector beam headlights kind of thing. And it definitely did look like a Zuma. And it had the knobby tires on it and everything else. Super cool. But the thing was, that bike was built by PGO in Taiwan. Okay. So when the Rattler came out again, which we haven't had a Rattler for a little while because of the whole 2-stroke 110 thing, right? So now the Rattler comes back as a 200 and it's fuel injected, motherfucker. And it's back, and people are really excited about it.
The engine's really good.
But here's what's interesting about
I'd like
this
to
bike.
put that in a fucking buddy.
So
I don't
here's
think-
what's interesting.
No, I wouldn't.
So here's what's interesting about the bike. Both of these bikes that you guys rode tonight are both from China. So these bikes are not, Kimco's from Taiwan, but they make a ton of shit in China.
I easily believe that about the Rattler.
Yep.
I don't so easily believe that about the Kimco.
And that's
I agree.
a very good observation. And
I concur.
Genuine Scooter Company for years would be kind of judicious about where they would put the word genuine. So like they brought in a brand of scooters called the Chicago Scooter Company. And they were kind of the cheapo versions of scooters, right? So you could buy them from Genuine, but they came in through the Chicago Scooter Company side entrance of just like, they're not expensive. They're kind of Chinese and you get what you pay for kind of thing, right? But the genuine stuff like the Buddy, they didn't hang the genuine badge on the Royal Alloy. Like we all rode the Royal Alloy. We had some problems with it. And it was a Royal Alloy. It wasn't a genuine. They didn't put the genuine badge on. But this Rattler, they put a fucking genuine badge on, bigger than Stuttgart. So I wanted everyone to get a chance to ride it. Now, the reason I did the 2-bike comparison is because that genuine Buddy scooter is that genuine Rattler scooter, thank you. The genuine Rattler is $27.99. Now, $27.99 is a jet. So $27.99 is only $100 more than a 125 Buddy with a carburetor. So
the engine is that S10 over there in the parking lot with a big block in it.
yeah, there's an S10 over there with a big block. Yeah,
I was gonna say that jet doesn't sound very good, man.
and that jet's only running on 8.
Actually, it's probably not a big block. It's probably like a 305.
It is, but you're right. Yeah, but it's a big V8 though.
I said big
enough. Yeah,
I was definitely.
Yeah, there's a Ford Ranger that has a big V8 in it too that runs around and hangs out with them, and they do unnatural things with each other. But but here's what's interesting: money. When we talk about cash money, like what people pay for shit, we know that the Buddy 125 scooter has been $26.99 since 2006.
Right.
That bike has only ever been $26.99. So for $100 more, you're jumping from a carburetor to a fuel injection and jumping from 125 cc's to 200, or so they call it, probably more like 169. Okay.
And you get the convenient butt spreader.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
That thing is.
I think everybody has an opinion about the seat.
Yeah, I don't understand why they would do that. That ruined the whole scooter for me.
Yeah.
It's
Why did they put a saddle horn right underneath your tailbone?
like
Yeah.
I mean,
What does
literally-
that do?
Yeah. It does nothing.
It does
something
something.
good.
It does something, all right. It does something. It stimulates your prostate. I'll tell you that.
I mean, they had to design that bike for somebody that was 5'4" or under.
Okay.
He's giving himself a gap.
Yeah.
Right.
Bump into it, but anybody that's over, like I'm 5'9", I'm not tall.
There you go.
All right.
It's the full show. I
There
like
it is.
that. That was good. The full show.
But that thing was straight. Like if I was just trying to be comfortable on it,
Right.
it was literally attached to my asshole.
Yes.
Like it was in the middle.
Absolutely.
Terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree.
So
Your tail will be
obviously-
strangling you tonight.
Right, but obviously people don't know what we're talking about. So if you can imagine like a normal scooter seat that's kind of molded and roundy, whatever.
Any seat on any motorcycle on the planet.
Yeah. And then just
Have
put
you seen a Sabian?
yeah.
That's
It's
kind
called a
of
Sibian.
Yeah, Sibian.
It's a
Sibian.
Sibian.
Sabian's our friend Autumn.
It's literally a 3-inch round
It's like a lightly padded hockey puck.
It is.
just sticking up out of the middle of the seat for no fucking reason whatsoever.
Well, it's a safety feature just to make sure you don't ride with a plug.
Yes, exactly.
But the seat's also too soft.
Well, yeah, go figure. China.
I didn't get past the puck.
The puck.
Yeah,
It is like the entire time you're riding that bike, it feels like you gave an aggressive Italian a ride home, and you shouldn't have. This is like
Yeah, that's the first bike that you go
I know
nuts
you're
to
happy
butts
to
without
see him.
anybody else
right.
on
You
it.
can go nuts to butts solo.
That reminds me of the time I gave Bob a ride on behind my bike.
Harley Bob?
Different Bob.
Different Bob.
okay.
Different Bob.
Bob up and down.
But
You're not.
but just straight up, the seat. I swear to God, I think they put that hockey puck on the seat to make sure you couldn't complain about anything else on the bike, because
Like
they're
acupuncture. We'll make
Yes.
it this hurt,
right,
and then you won't
feel it anywhere else, right?
So what was the rattling around? Did we not secure the battery or something in that bike? There was
I don't know.
I
There was
it's the
something every
plate.
time I hit
think
the
it's
bump.
plate.
I think
Something
it's
rattled underneath.
I think it's the center stand.
Oh,
Okay.
look at that.
I think it's
I
the
don't
center
think
stand.
so. It's
Okay.
the spring is really tight.
Well,
I
we'll
doubt,
figure it
It
out.
might be
doubt
the
that
plate.
would
I think
do
it was
it.
the plate slapping
We'll
around
figure it
there.
out
Yeah.
again.
I thought maybe the battery wasn't
Battery
secure.
sounds plausible.
Did your technician secure the battery?
You can't not secure it. It literally goes into a hole on the floor, and the lid to the box is all you got.
Yeah,
There's
man,
nothing.
this was in
Maybe
the
it's
back.
not squeezing the battery. I don't know.
We'll look at it later on, and I'm sure we'll figure it out.
I can't really honestly believe you let us ride it like that.
Well, that being said, though, you move on to this, and that's like a fucking piece of glass
And
gliding
so this
across.
is why I wanted to make the comparison.
But let's talk more. Like we need to talk more about the Rattler.
Okay, so-
I have things to say about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because it took the namesake of a really cool little bike,
Yeah.
Right.
which was a 110
Two-stroke
two-stroke
110 that you
that
could
was,
tune.
That was
Yeah.
a lot of fun to ride.
Right.
That with the little bump in the road or a little uphill, you could pull a wheelie on
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
and it just was a little swarm of angry bees, and it was a cool little bike.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So if you're going to take that namesake, you better
Right.
sort of be able to live up to
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And that thing is like a loaf of bread riding it. First of all, the stall on the CVT
Right.
is way too high.
The clutch is way too high.
It's like
Yeah.
boom, boom. You can rev it and it's not doing anything,
Right.
and then it finally kicks in.
Yep.
I think it might be an interesting bike at higher speeds because I think the final drive is geared up because
too.
it's 200cc fuel injected.
Right.
The motor doesn't seem to scream. It's not like a light switch. It's
Yep.
not even as doesn't rev up as quick as a Buddy 125. But maybe it would be better once maybe it revs out this.
And
Maybe
when-
it can handle 70 mile an hour.
And when I
better.
first pulled it out this afternoon, when Chris was here, I was giving it the parking lot wheelie test.
No.
And so a Buddy 125 and a Buddy 125 kick, I can do parking lot wheelies in here all day long, no
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
But you're right about the stall of the clutch is not right because it took me 7 or 8 tries to get the front wheel up anything over 7 or 8 inches.
You must have been really trying on that.
I was giving it too much.
I mean, the Buddy, like, you're like, ugh.
Yeah. I think Chris might have even got a picture of it.
Oh, yeah, I got a video of it. I got to tell you, I was impressed.
It was a pretty decent wheelie.
Absolutely.
But
That's a testament that Phil can wheelie anything.
yeah, I can wheelie a lot of stuff, but it was really hard to make that bike wheelie. Like it took everything to. It
You
was
won't accidentally wheelie that bike.
no way. I'll tell you where I can tell you that a Buddy kick, which is fuel injected, and a Buddy 125, standard carbureted 125, I can wheelie those and carry the wheel as long as I want to. They're really, really good bikes to wheelie.
Give it a little gas, let off the gas, and crack the gas.
Yeah,
it'll probably
they're
come up.
perfect. And this one was like, it was just a shitty, sloppy wheelie. But anyway, yeah, but it took a while to get one, and I don't think I could produce another one just hitting it the way I should. So for being a bigger motor and a 12-inch wheel, it didn't give me, I don't know.
I wasn't excited.
But I do think
it could just be the final drive gearing, but the motor just doesn't seem snappy like a fuel injected. It doesn't rev. Not like that.
Right. Exactly. And that's the strange thing.
Brakes were kind of wooden.
No, but it was I thought the motor was like a low speed, like torquey.
It's a torquey motor. I think that the whole motor's set up to be lower RPMs but most scooter motors, I think, are happiest around 8,000 RPM.
I felt like I was riding a Chinese fling poo kind of.
Yep, exactly. Right. And I kind of riding the bike around. So that's
the frame was stiff. I mean, it didn't have the
and that's
the
an interesting thing. So I thought the frame was a hell of a lot better, and I thought the suspension was a hell of a lot better,
but not nearly as good as that.
No, that thing's awesome.
That's why we did what we did, and that's why we kind of wanted to give you the current state of affairs. I do have the price.
Oh,
I didn't tell anybody yet.
Okay.
I wanted to kind of show you guys the current state of affairs. Now that $27.99 buddy, there is going to be Rattler. Thank you. God, I keep doing that. The Rattler, there is going to be a tariff. So you are going to pay, and that's what's happening now with a lot of these bikes. You can expect to pay 2 additional things. Now, you guys know our shop. We generally charge people a fixed prep price that we do based on if the bike's easy to put together or hard to put together. And then we also do the freight, whatever the actual freight is to get the bike into our shop from the distributor. There is an additional fee that's going to happen on a lot of motorcycles. Guys, get ready for it. There's going to be a tariff fee that you're going to see on Chinese-made vehicles because these manufacturers have decided that they're not going to eat that Chinese tariff. So they're passing it along to the customers.
No more egg roll.
Yeah. Yeah. So now that bike has a $76 tariff on it. So that bike gets a $76 tariff, but it also gets a $140 ocean freight surcharge because ocean freight has gone from a couple $3,000 a container to $15,000 or $20,000 a container or $6,000 or $7,000 a container, depending on who you ask.
If you can get them.
Right. So you're going to see a lot of motorcycles in the next couple of years that are going to have an ocean freight surcharge in addition to the land transportation freight fee that we're all paying already. So that's going to suck.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, is that going to affect the Jeep too?
I don't think so because that's coming in a row. So that's coming in a roll on, roll off. And I already paid the freight on that. So
okay, so that's...
Well, we'll know when we get it out of customs, won't we? Yeah. We'll know when we pick it up at the dock.
Yeah.
Because that's when they come up and go, oh, by the way, you also owe us this much more.
Yeah, because they gigged us on that dump truck.
On the dump truck, they did. We got a late tariff on that because Trump didn't want Trump didn't want us to buy a Japanese dump truck that was 26 years old. He wanted us to buy an American dump truck that was 26 years old.
But Steve, you don't have to pay that. That's on Phil's end, right?
All right. Anybody have anything else to say about the Rattler? And I got to say, I mean, riding the...
It's the right color. It's the Rattler red.
And I love the bodywork. I love the bodywork. I think the lights are really beautiful. Yeah. I think the lighting on it's really nice. It looks cool.
Anybody over 5'9", you're going to hit your knees when you turn?
Yes, absolutely.
It's made for a 5'4" person, 100%.
Yeah.
Anybody that rode the original Rattler and then jumps on that will be like, aw.
And the fit and finish of it, you can definitely tell the difference between the original Rattler, which was clearly made in Taiwan, and this one, which is clearly made in China.
I like how you were like, this one. Thanks, buddy. This one has a little bit of shipping damage. You're like, oh, because like when we were trying to grab the front brake.
Oh no, that was this. Yeah, the Kimco.
Oh, is it this one? Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so there's definitely a difference in materials. Yeah. There's definitely a difference in some other stuff between traditionally a Taiwan bike and a Chinese bike. Yeah.
Even the grab rails, like back at the seat, were like, flexing and stuff.
Flexing, yeah, and the mirrors are pretty horrible.
Although you can see.
Yep, you can see.
It's nice that they're wide.
Yep, they're wide. You can definitely see shit. Yep, absolutely. So anybody else got anything the Rattler?
Yeah, so I have a confession to make.
Yeah.
So the Rattler, we get my nice porno voice here, Phil, with the Rattler. You took my scooter virginity with that.
Is that your first auto?
First time I've ever.
Wow.
I like how you call it the Rattler.
The Rattler. So we popped your scooter cherry is what they're saying. Isn't it weird to ride without a clutch?
Yeah.
It's fucking weird, man. Yeah, it's a strange experience.
Yeah, I find myself on the Triumph. I'll pull the clutch in halfway like it's a brake. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, right.
It is funny once you get in, like, for all of us, we're degenerate motorcycle riders, and then we've all kind of taken a transition into scooters. So it's a really funny thing that everybody sitting at this table is primarily a motorcycle rider, who then primarily a degenerate motorcyclist, who then has gone to we've turned into this weird sort of fetish of scooters. And it's a really funny thing when it happens. It's fun. And instead of being like, what's the difference between a moped and a fat girl? Or how is a moped like a fat girl?
I don't know.
They're both a lot of fun to ride, but you don't want your friends to see you on them. And that's the joke we all heard a million times growing up, right? But the thing is, like,
I just don't want my wife to see me.
Okay, so the second bike out of the trap is the new KROMPKE People S150.
Peoples.
And now the Peoples, now this bike is totally different. It doesn't have 12-inch wheels. It's got the 16-inch wheel in the front and a 14 in the back. And what you'll notice immediately is it's not like a Piaggio Liberty or like the old Malaguti Chak or the Aprilia. These are very fucking thick tires.
I think this is competing with the Honda, what is it, the CH1 or the one?
SH150, absolutely, all day long. And these are very, very thick motorcycle tires. I noticed that on this bike front and rear. They're not traditional scooter spec sizes. They're actual motorcycle spec size wheels. So very well done. And this has ABS brakes from the factory, which is pretty fucking cool, you know, that they're giving you.
You mean you didn't have to put the ABS brakes on?
No, dude, and there are discs in the front and discs in the back, too. Yeah. So it's a double disc situation. It's fuel injected. It's ABS brakes, and it is also from China.
It was fun. I mean, I really stabbed the brakes here and there and everything. There was no chance of
smooth as glass. It's so fucking smooth, man.
And the suspension is big guy friendly.
Yeah.
So if you're a heavy fella, this bike doesn't, like a Liberty, which was always my gold standard for a tall-wheeled scooter. The Piaggio Liberties are so fucking good. But this actually rides my weight, 6'1", 210 pounds, a hell of a lot better than a Liberty does. It does, you don't feel the bumps. Like, you just don't feel them. The power delivery is really nice. Yeah. It's kind of shocking.
Pretty immediate.
And they rank this bike at 13.5 horsepower. Which is significant. I mean, that's in the same neighborhood or better than a Vespa Primavera 150.
What's this displacing?
150 cc's.
This is a 150.
Yeah, a 4-valve motor, fuel injected, and it does give nice power.
And it has
air cooled. It's air cooled,
yeah,
right?
It's air cooled. Yeah,
and it has kind of a Piaggio feel to the headset. And
it does.
Everything. It's kind of.
Yeah,
it's a good
The
bike.
Speedo's a good Speedo. It's well lit, and the headlight is fucking awesome. Like the lighting on it, we were noticing when somebody was pulling out, we were noticing that the back, like the tail light and the brake lights are all LED. And it's got that nice like halo style LED for the main.
I think I'd just take a beer somewhere. Any kind of beer out of any fridge.
Me too. Same. Yeah, same.
I got some right here.
Do you have good beer? Of course you do.
Of course he has good beer. Of course
Dan.
he does. It's Dan. He doesn't bring bad beer. Yeah.
Oh, I speaking of that,
I'll take anything that's not an IPA if you have one.
So, a Motor Stories idea.
Pilsner.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have
Steve
Dan.
needs one that is an IPA or something stupid.
No, I'm good.
Not you.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'll have the Pilsner. Oh, that's a Hefe? Give me the Hefeweizen.
So I think what we have to do is a blind whiskey taste test.
Oh my God, that's a terrible idea.
No, I think it's a great idea.
It's a
If
terrible
you're not
idea.
blind when you start, you'll be
blind when you finish.
finish.
That's it. But so riding the KROMPKE,
Love it.
so now I'm going to tell you guys a couple of things about the KROMPKE. So the KROMPKE's $34.99. So the KROMPKE's a solid $400 or $300 more than the Piaggio Liberty. But this bike comes with, and isn't appearing on the bike today, but it comes with a free top case and it comes with a free windshield.
Oh, no shit.
Wow.
So at $34.99 with a free top case and a free windshield, here's the bonus features.
Hands down.
It has a USB port under the seat. It also has a USB port on the headset.
Oh.
And when you open the seat area, there's a divider in the seat storage area so that your things that aren't your helmet don't rub up against the things that are your helmet. I was kind of impressed by the way they laid this bike out.
Yeah.
I also like the gas tank is beneath your feet, and that you fill it literally. You don't have to open the seat or anything to fill it. It's got a filler that's right down by your left foot.
The key's just a little weird. You turn the key all the way to the right.
Yep.
and it opens the gas.
Exactly. Right. So if you turn the key to the right, it shuts the motor off and opens the gas tank at the same time.
Right.
Well,
That's an anti-theft device.
What I liked about the gas tank was that, the gas cap is that it stays. Right? I'm not trying to find some place to fucking put it and then forget it or whatever
Sim
else.
did that 10 years ago.
Oh, everybody did it. Believe me, we had the Grand Vista had the gas tank that was in front. You didn't even need to turn the bike off. You could pull up to the light, push the key, click the key. The gas tank would open directly in front of your left knee on the Grand Vista, and you could gas and hang the pump back up and haul ass without ever getting off the bike or shutting the bike off or doing anything. It was the perfect lazy man's I'm putting gas in my bike situation. The Grand Vista was a bike that it had a lot of things going for it. It had some things against it. But to this day, bikes that we sold 14 years ago, 15 years ago, that have 70,000 miles on them, they're still running and people are still thrilled to own them.
I was getting ready to get my wallet out with that one down at Mid-Ohio.
Oh, yeah,
like,
you ended up selling it.
if this hangs around till Sunday, I'm making Phil
What, the one with the big seat?
Weren't you riding it when it sold?
Yeah, I sold it.
We took the big seat off of it and put a normal seat on it.
Oh.
Yeah, so we fixed the seating problem. And it was a fine bike. Like, there's no reason. I took that on the road outside of Mid-Ohio and got 84 miles per hour out of it. And
Imagine a bike with a motor that feels like that, but it's a 250.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
That King Queen seat on there was.
Oh, the captain's chair is the most.
He was riding me around on that bike.
Yeah,
and it was ridiculous.
On the King Queen seat? Yeah, that is a seat that makes fun of Russell Daylong saddles.
Was John going, this would be better if you took your shirt off?
I didn't have my shirt on or my pants.
There's a thing.
Put it back on.
If you ride Vespa scooters, especially if you ride Vespa GTSs, and if you ride the Kymco Grand Vista and a bunch of the bikes that have 12-inch wheels, every forum in the internet, every forum ever will be like, my bike has a death wobble. Only if you take your hands off the bars. So if you take your hands off the bars, the bike front end will fucking kill you. There's no doubt about it. If you're riding a bike with a 12-inch front wheel and a very vertical steering stem, don't take your hands off the fucking bars. I can tell you, I looked in your manual while you weren't there. Nowhere in your manual does it say you're ever supposed to ride with both your hands off the bars. I can also tell you that if you just have one hand on the bar, it's enough dampening that it will not do it.
If you have a feather on the bar, it will not do it.
You'll be fine. If you wave at somebody, you're not going to die. I've read the internet posts. You're all fucking wrong. Shut the fuck up, Margaret. The bike's not trying to kill you, okay? But everyone ever, if you want to have fun right now, type in Vespa GTS wobble or head shake. And the internet is just going to the lights are going to get dim in China because your server's just going to get crowded full of my Vespa tried to kill me for the first mile I had it. And then I discovered I had to put 31.2 pounds worth of nitrogen in the front tire. And then everything was fine again. And I needed 47 ounces of bar end weights only on the left side or whatever. Everybody has beat this fucking thing to death. Here's a tip, folks. If your front wheel is really small and you have a very vertical steering head, don't let go of the bars. Earlier today, we saw a guy going by here on one of those stand-up scooters.
Holy fuck.
At 137 miles an hour.
At least.
I'm good. I just got one, but if you want to set it down, that's great.
As soon as you walked away, Dan broke
Dan magically manifested beers while you walked away.
It was crazy that the sonic boom took place 4 seconds after you passed.
And again, I'm not joking. Anybody that was here saw me. He was going 4 times faster than he should have been going on those children's wheels.
And 3 times faster than he did 2 weeks ago.
Exactly.
He was insane.
It's the same guy. We talk about him every week.
Yeah.
He just makes the bike faster.
Yeah.
And now he's added more lighting to it.
Yep.
Because that's what he doesn't have is visibility. Yep. Yeah, he's basically invisible. But
somebody in my neighborhood's been tuning one of those bolt a motor into a bicycle thing.
Right,
and he's been ripping. He's timing it as soon as the sun goes down.
Yeah.
Thinks he can get away with it. And I just hear him coming down like Athens. Athens is the cheater street.
It is the cheater
You're not
street.
going to go down Madison or one of the main street.
Yeah.
But Athens, you can fly
you can
down
rip
there.
Down Athens,
blow through the stop signs. And I just hear him. I hear him.
He's doing plug chops and he's using a fucking sundial.
Yeah.
Hell, man.
I'm like, well, he's getting it.
He's getting it all right. Yeah. I remember my first two-stroke. Yeah. It is a funny thing that we have a lot of people in Cleveland who don't have driver's licenses, and they all come into my shop and they're like, hey man, I bought one of those bikes. Well, you know, it's a motor that goes in a bike. I'm like, stop talking.
But this is a really crazy time where there's a lot of asymmetrical riding going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of asymmetrical. Yeah, boy, ain't that the case. So here's this
electric shit and
here's this electric vehicle. It goes 65, but we can make it for you so it only goes 35, so you can ride it without a license. Check the law. If it goes over 25, you need a license. If it has pedals and it goes over 25, you still need a license. Your state has a law that is different than the guy selling it to you thinks it is. And so be very careful, because I've had a guy call my shop twice now who wants me to go to court on his behalf because his electric bicycle, he got a ticket for riding his electric bicycle at like 40 miles an hour or something with no license plate, no insurance, no lighting.
Class 2 instead of a class 1.
Look, it's Ohio. If it has pedals and it goes less than 25, it's a moped, and we have a license plate for such a thing. If it goes over 25, pedals or no, or it has more than 1 horsepower, it can carry more than 1 asshole, then it's not a moped, and you need to have a motorcycle license.
And it can only be, what, 50 cc's, right? Anything over
49 cc's, 49, right, exactly. Right. 49 cc's or lower. And if you meet any of those criteria, this is literally like this. If you meet any of these criteria, not all of them.
There is literally a sheet that you have to check.
Yes.
Check.
Yep.
Check.
Yes. And once you're all done checking the blocks and you're like, congratulations, I did it. It goes 24.2 miles per hour. It has 49 cc's. It has 9/10 of a horsepower. There's no extra pegs to put Sally on the back.
Hey, did John check all those boxes off when he bought the Versys?
Hey.
Wow.
And if you do all of that, then they ask you if the bike is in the book.
I hate you.
And they look in the book of approved mopeds. And if it's not in the book, you're not a moped.
You hurt me.
Phil, you're overlooking something, right?
Yeah.
I saw this afternoon that if you can stand up while you're driving it, then all bets are off.
Then all bets are off. That's
all right, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here we go. Oh, no. I thought we were going to have a guest.
I thought for sure that was a customer coming in at 10 o'clock. Yeah.
Oh, what the hell is this guy doing? Oh, he's turning around.
The worst turnaround
Asymmetrical driving.
Asymmetrical driving. Yeah, that's for real. So, but I thought that was pretty interesting. So you guys like the Kimco People 150S?
Yeah.
Yes,
It's a good
very
bike.
much.
Very good bike.
Yeah, I
Beautiful color. Nice finish.
midnight blue metallic or black, your choice. The black has an imperceptible amount of metallic in it. It said metallic, and I took it out in the sun. I shined very bright lights at it. At no point was I ever metallized. At no point did I ever hear Metallica. So I don't think there's any actual real Metallica in the paint at all. Yeah. Not feeling that.
You got the black edition, black album edition.
I got the black edition.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen it with the windshield. See how much of a difference it made.
Yeah, well, the windshields haven't arrived yet due to a weird thing called logistics. So, yeah, it's in a boat somewhere. It's in a box somewhere.
By the way, the best Halloween costume I've ever seen in my life. Your buddy Tom Bagel posted or whatever. The evergreen.
Yeah, the
boat,
evergreen.
And then you walk into a
and
mall
stop.
and then you stop in the doorway.
Yeah, you just block all the traffic going through the
There's
doorway.
like 25 people standing behind the
Because you're a container
and he's
ship.
just like, I'm stuck.
That's funny once. Yeah. Then you're going to run into the 14th mermaid that needs to use the bathroom and you're fucked. Yeah. So our buddy Kurt from Raleigh, Massachusetts has been taking some rides, and he's kind of been commenting on some of the stuff that we were talking about our using of the he's off camera, but he's peeing behind the tree. All right. Anyway, so we were commenting about the Mustang name for the SUV, the Eco thing, and he says
he's not taking a poop.
He says the Mustang name for an SUV, no way, because the Chevy Nomad wagon was actually a Corvette wagon. That was the Nomad, but then the Chevy. Well, there was an actual Chevy Nomad wagon.
Yeah, there was both, but I don't know that there was a Corvette wagon.
There was a
Corvette
concept, exactly. But then he says,
which is really super cool. But the Nomad,
the Nomad
longer.
was a proper wagon.
That was a proper wagon.
Yeah. So he today though he sends me a picture. It says, "Welcome to Speculator," and it says all season
Adventureland.
All season vacation land.
Oh, vacation, sorry.
And so he got a picture in Speculator. He says, I'm on my way back from a ride to Tennessee and North Carolina from north of Boston via the Adirondacks. I'm staying in Old Forge, so I thought I would ride over and check out Speculator. I can see why it is a popular scooter destination. The lake and the town are very pretty. Unfortunately, I was planning on having lunch there, but every restaurant had the word closed on it, even though there was some kind of festival going on, and the bathrooms at the firehouse were also locked up. Oh, well. For treating the tourists right. Oh, well, for treating the tourists right. I will have to go back when this COVID thing goes away. Also, the Dragon was interesting, but I found the whole area with plenty of exciting roads that were without the traffic. Absolutely, yeah. There's all kinds of great roads that you can go on that are not at the Dragon. So, if you want to go and look at a tree covered in plastic or, buy a cheeseburger or a patch of the Dragon on it. Yeah, go to the Crossroads of Time and check it out. That's all cool.
Was he just there?
Yeah, he was just there.
Oh, because everything closes after Labor Day.
Oh, I think that might have been the problem. He said everything was closed.
Yeah, everything after Labor Day it closes, and now it's kind of like dead season. Then when it starts snowing, then everything opens up again.
Oh!
And then it goes until they call it mud season, which is in the spring, and then everything shuts down again. Till it gets warmer, then everything opens up again.
Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, because when we were there was nothing open. There was just a liquor store, which was fine.
Yeah.
A couple blocks away. And that was it.
So if you guys are interested in doing anything with the Dragon, now that, if you're not traveling and just want to know, there is a great Facebook page that I love and I check it daily called Fail of the Dragon.
Or Killboy.
Killboy's great, but Fail of the Dragon is even better because Fail of the Dragon is like Killboy gone wrong.
Okay.
It's basically everybody who's left of center on their, Boss Hoss trike and everything else, or people in mid crash.
They show all the semis that fuck up.
Yep, exactly. Fail the Dragon. That's what it is. Big semi right in the front page.
Those dudes get fined I think it's $5,000 because there's giant signs that say you can't take.
Yeah, and it's also just common sense.
Right.
If you did it once. I tried to drive through there with the Ford Econoline 350 in a pretty decent sized trailer one time, and I'll never do that again. Right. So, that's the limit.
I think I'm going to be in the minority here, but I didn't enjoy the Dragon. For me, my riding style, I didn't think it was anything special.
Yeah,
it was
I like sweepers. I like long, sweepers. That's what I prefer.
So I am definitely of the mindset that I absolutely love the Dragon. Why? Because no track in the world will ever be tight or technical enough for me. And I believe that if your maximum velocity on any track is 55 miles per hour, you're in a straightaway and you can do that anywhere. But the Dragon is like no straightaways.
Also, what bike did you ride?
That would have been, Jesus. Oh, that would have been the Intruder.
See?
Yeah.
You take a small CC bike like a Grom or a 135 or something, and the Dragon becomes.
I think the biggest bike I've ever had going through the Dragon was a GT650 Hawk.
Yeah.
And that was probably twice as much bike as you needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you
Yips are fun too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think my biggest problem was that it was just crowded.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why you go on a Tuesday or a Wednesday.
Well,
yeah.
Wasn't my choice. Right?
Have you tried the 555 yet in Cleveland from Zanesville?
No, I haven't.
So if you look it up, you can look up on the thing. It's kind of like the unknown. It's actually it's 463 turns and 63 miles. Most of them are off kilter, 45 degree angles, and blind.
No,
they are. It's
I know, I'm telling you. Done it a bunch of times.
It's fucking crazy, but it's fun as shit, and not a lot of, it's not nearly as thing. And they just repaved it last year, so it's completely smooth.
I like that. As long as it's not busy.
Right.
It's really fun following a Tesla doing 12 miles an hour.
Fuck that Tesla.
I enjoy doing the 666 in Pennsylvania.
That's a good run too.
I mean, like you're going along the Tynesta River, and there's a lot of what you're talking, like up like whoop-de-doos and
a lot of blind turns into the mountain and stuff where you don't know what's coming around the other side. Oh yeah, I'm down. Yeah, I loved it.
And you can go to hell.
Yeah, Helltown.
666 go to Helltown. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Hey, I live not too far from Hell. Different
Hell, Michigan. Yeah, Hell, Michigan. Every year the hearses all meet up in Hell, Michigan.
No, I live 5 miles from there.
And there were too many hearses the one year, and the police came in and shut us down and told us we had to leave Hell.
So
hey, what's going on, man?
Phil's on his phone right now.
Doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So we read so you guys, you probably heard that we read your message to us talking about buying the Moto Guzzi. And, like we said, I can totally understand why you might not want to buy the Guzzi. But if you're looking at, I think all of us here have a certain amount of respect for a proper big twin. So what did you end up buying?
All right, so I'm going to get a 96 Softail Heritage Classic. It's all decked out. Sent you a picture of it there. Yeah, just fits my style so much better. I was having so many issues with that Ultra. There were issues. It just wasn't fitting my style.
Now, wait a second. So for anybody that was with us at AMA Vintage Days, you showed up on that cherry red Softail.
It was a electric glide.
Oh, that was
Ultra Classic.
That was an Ultra Classic.
2006.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that twin cam engine. Don't know if those those issues have been resolved or not. No records on that.
Yep.
Well, yeah, it's got a clearance of 500,000.
But it got me out there, got me home and everything. But it was just one of those. I'm not a 65-year-old man, and I'm not doing the 2-up riding I was expecting to do on it. So I was like, you know what? I need some more style in my life.
Now I did see that you did try to do a little off-roading on that bike.
Well, just a little bit. Once half the people at Vintage Days were out of the way, and I wasn't going to get completely run over.
Once the whiskey kicked in?
And then, Oh, you're talking about the mishap in my backyard.
Yeah, well, I got a picture of a Harley Davidson buried up to about to the fuel injectors in mud.
Yeah. So all right. So I've got a little backyard, and I put out pavers in the middle so I could have a little fire pit, and then I've got a little walkway that's cement, and I had some boards, some particle boards I would put across the inside if I ever had to clean the bikes or anything. And so I pulled it in, and to wash it, I moved it over, put the front wheel on the pavers, back wheel was off on the walkway, and I was trying to move it up so I could get it moved around after washing it, and the boards just fucking disintegrated right underneath the tire, and it just dug down into the soft ground. Yep.
And what's that bike
weigh?
Rain
was on the way. And I'm like, oh no, what do I do? I'm like, oh shit. It couldn't get any traction. It was sitting, so the frame was on the pavers with the back wheel down in the dirt. Yep. So
particle board did what it does. It disintegrated.
So I take my shovel and I dig out around the rear wheel because I'm like, all right, rain's on the way. I can't just have it pull up around here. So I dig out a hole so that the rain's not just going to flood the back tire completely and leave it sit. And I'm trying to figure out, what do I do? Because I don't have anyone who can help me move this damn thing. And so
that's 800 pounds.
Yeah, it is. And it couldn't get any traction whatsoever. It just sat there and spun and was just spitting mud all over the place.
And now your frame rails are higher than your frame rails are lower than your side stand at this point.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You were like that big 40-foot RV at Mid Ohio.
It just sat there straight up. So I had to order these things on Amazon. I got these. They're supposed to help you get out of mud to dig your way
traction
out of mud.
pads.
So I had to order these things, and I had to wedge it down under the rear tire, and then it got enough traction on that piece of plastic mud thing to get me out.
So did you actually buy sand ladders? Did you buy big orange plastic sand ladders?
Well, these things are yeah, I mean, they were black, but yeah, basically the same. You're supposed to just take them, if you're 4x4 stuck in, off-roading or something, and you stick them down there so you can get some traction in the mud, or if you're in snow, so you can get some traction. I got a couple of those, and I put one of them underneath the tire, and it gave me enough traction to get it up onto the pavers, and then I leveled the dirt back out and got some new wood, and it was enough to get me back out of my backyard.
So we're going to say that maybe the Harley Davidson FLH might not be the best adventure vehicle in the world.
No, I mean,
it's not exactly backyard approved.
No, it's not mud approved. It's not gravel approved. It's not snow approved. I don't think it's It's pavement approved.
It's bar approved.
That's exactly it. So, so now, where did you come from to meet us at Mid Ohio?
I came from Lebanon, PA, which is out in the eastern side. It's near Hershey, PA. Actually, I'm about 30 minutes down the road from Hershey. Yeah.
And that was your first time. That was your first time meeting Liza and all the people from the Misfits and everybody else.
Oh yeah, yep. First time out. So I had heard all of you guys talking about it, and just was like, I got to get out to this. So I was able to get one day off of work. You know, had to work on Friday, but was able to head out late Friday night and rode overnight to get out there for Saturday, and spent the weekend out there.
Oh, so cool having you out. It was really cool to have you there, and it was funny because when we were tearing down our camp, we were just kind of like, oh, wow, this guy's being really helpful. Like, you know, whose friend is this? Like, where did he show up from? And we're like, oh, it's just a podcast listener. And he's just pitching in. It was super cool. So yeah, that was great. So now what happened? You said you had a little story for me about a 74 Harley?
Yeah. So, all right. So I'm dealing with these issues with the Ultra, right? It's just not quite fitting my style. I was having weird idle issues. Had a shifter leak and stuff. Like, it was in the shop twice for that. And I'm just like, I'm fed up with this thing. Like, I need something else. So I'm looking around, and like I told you in my previous message, all right, if I'm going to have an FLH, like, I should just get a vintage one if I'm going to go that route. So I'm looking online, I'm looking on Cycle Trader, and I run across this 74 FLH, nice blue color, has white bags, like hard bags, and a white fairing on it. $69.95, right? I'm like, oh shit, like, you know, like I could probably get this thing.
Now, wait a second. Now, $69.95 sounds a lot like a dealer pricing.
It is, yeah. It was through a dealer. And so, like, you know, I check into it a little bit, and dealer's about an hour and a half from me on the highway. I go out on, it was actually the Tuesday right after Labor Day. I take a ride up there. And I take some back roads and stuff, stay off the highway as much as I can. I have the day off, try and take a nice ride. I go up there, about 2 hours to get up there. And this is up near Scranton, PA. I get up there. Salesman, you know, he's being cool with me and everything. Takes me over to the extra little building. They have all their vintage bikes in, all their older stuff. And he's showing it to me. This thing's kickstarted. It looks super cool. I'm like, all right, like, you know, anyone who knows their bikes, like, they're gonna be impressed by this old shovelhead, right? And he tells me, well, it's been sitting for a year or two in their place, hasn't been started, and there's a leak underneath the thing already. And I'm looking at it like, okay, like, I mean, it's cool and stuff, but, you know, tell you what, like, write me up a bill of sale. I'll get to the credit union when I can, see what I can do with financing, you know, anything like that. What can you do for trade-in on my Ultra, right? He takes a look at it. He's like, probably $4,500, something like that, right? And, you know, you guys have talked a lot about being a good buyer, and I try to be one, you know, like, to the best of my ability. Like, I don't try and waste your time if I'm not sure about it. Like, I'll just come in and be like, I'm trying to get an idea of things. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, you know, on stuff. And then I get back to work on Wednesday, and I have a super long day. I'm working all sorts of overtime and stuff all through the week. I can't get over to the credit union to even look into this. And on Saturday, I'm like, I send him a text, and I'm like, you know, could you tell me, you know, could you write me up a bill of sale with the trade-in value on my bike? You know, so that way when I go in, you know, like, it's super cool, you know, but I'm still a little hesitant because it's been sitting for at least a year without running. And the guy's like, his response is, all caps in the text is, you can buy this bike tomorrow morning. And I'm just like, so you've had it serviced and
it's ready to go, right? It's ready to ride.
And he goes, no, we don't do that until we get paid. And I'm just like, and in my head, I'm just like, what the hell are you talking about? Like,
what he's talking about is they're not going to put any time into that motorcycle until they have a buyer for it. So you're gonna buy what is currently being represented as a non-running but existing motorcycle. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Plus, to boot, he goes, and we're not going to do a trade. So I'm like, so you want me to commit to a $7,000 purchase?
That's exactly
on
right.
a non-running motorcycle, and you're not even going to accept my trade. And you already know, like, I live, like, 2 hours away.
Yep.
And what? I'm going to get a fucking Uber and pay like $150 to come up here and pick the bike up?
That $6,995 motorcycle was not expensive enough to steal your trade.
Yeah. And that's, well, because then he goes, all right. He goes, I'll honor this price until tomorrow. And I'm like, well, tomorrow's Sunday. I'm like, so if I put money down tomorrow, you'll hold it until Monday when I can go to my credit union and get the financing. And he goes, no, like I said, I'll hold the price until tomorrow. I let it ride for a week. Okay. Like, now I'm just like, dude, like, I get it. Like, you're trying to make a sale. I understand. Everyone's in business. But at the same time, like, I've been busy, and this is a non-running motorcycle at this point. And so I politely respond. I'm like, if you've got other interested buyers, by all means, go ahead. Like, that's no problem. I completely understand. And he's just like, well, I said I'd hold it till tomorrow.
Tell him to go fuck his hat.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. I hear Johnny in the background there. Yeah. Go fuck his hat. And that's what I'm just like, okay, all right.
That bike's probably still fucking sitting there.
Of course it is. That bike's not going to go anywhere until somebody shows them $7,000.
No, he goes, I can't, I let it ride for a week. I can't hold this price any longer. I have rules to follow, and the dealership is upping the price by $4,000. So it was up to $10,995.
Because it didn't sell. It's been sitting there for a week, and it didn't sell, so now they're going to increase the price.
It hasn't sold for a year and a half. Raise the price.
That ought to do it.
Well, and so I'm like, so that's exactly why you're not honoring a $4,000 trade-in estimate you gave me for my bike. All right. So I'm like, all right. I'm like, well, I'll let you know. And I just I get off I stop myself and I go, you know what? I've got a running motorcycle right now. It's not in the best of shape, but it's running.
Yep.
Why am I going to do anything with a non-running bike at this point? I'm like, and so I just let it slip. But it was just one of those, you want to be a good buyer?
Yep.
I think there's good dealers out there too. I'm sure you know it.
Make yourself feel good. Change the oil in the Ultra and ride it for another 60,000 miles.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, then I come across, I was looking at this other place with the nostalgia. Well, that thing sold already, and this goes to the snap up the deals while you have them, right?
Right.
So I see this other bike. I see this Heritage Classic that they've got. And I'm like, so I go up to this place during the week and check them out, and I take a look at that bike, and I'm just like, cool. And they take a look at my bike, right? And they're like, well, how much you looking for? I was like, $4,500 to $5,000.
Right.
I'm trying to be really reasonable. And they're like, yeah, some people come in here, wanting $8,500 for it. I said, no. I said, I know how it works. I get it. It's fine. And they sit me down and we're talking numbers and everything. And they say, well, realistically, with the mileage you got on it, and did you know you got an oil leak out there? And I just throw my head back, and I'm like. And they go, well, we can offer you $4,000. I was like, no, that's perfectly understandable. I'm like, yeah, you guys don't know this thing went into the fucking Harley dealer twice over the same oil leak at the shifter. I don't know what the hell's going on with it, but I'm cutting my losses at this point. So I'm going to pick that thing up Monday is the plan right now.
Cool.
So how much do you want for your $3,000 Ultra?
What was that?
So John says, well, so how much do you want for that $3,000 Ultra?
Well, it's 4,000 trade-in.
No, actually, I think you're absolutely doing fine. And the biggest thing is, look, I can't say shit. I own a Springer, and that's the dumbest motorcycle you can own. There's no way that anybody could ever be like, oh, you know what? A lot of smart people bought Springers. No, it's not. It's a completely ridiculous motorcycle. And sometimes you just buy a bike because you like it. That's just what it is. So yeah, I totally get that, man.
Oh yeah. It's so much more my style. Just one of those sit back and cruise.
Yep.
And, look like a cowboy.
That's perfect. Add more fringe. When in doubt, add more leather. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. I wanted to give you a shout.
Oh yeah, thanks. Do you guys want to hear the joke?
Yes, bring on the joke. We don't have a Chris Smith tonight, so we need a joke.
All right, it's X-rated. So
it's an X-rated joke.
Yep.
I am a big fan of X-rated jokes.
All right. So, newlywed couple. You got Kevin and Susan. They just got married. Everything's going well. But Kevin has to go out of town on a business trip. He's going to be gone for like at least a month and a half probably. He's a little concerned that Susie might stray, because it's still hot times for them. And so he goes down to the local adult store. And he's looking around at all the dildos and vibrators on the wall. Guy behind the counter goes, dude, what you looking for? What can I help you find? So Kevin explains what's going on. And the dude goes, all right, I got the perfect thing for you. He disappears into the back for a couple of minutes. He comes out. He's got this little cage with a black cloth over it. And he lifts it up, and inside, there's a cock with legs running around in a circle in there.
Holy shit.
He says, this is Zoot. Now, it's perfect. All you have to do is you say Zoot, and then you say what you want Zoot to do. And Zoot will do it for you. And he says, the only way you can get Zoot to stop is to say what's on this little piece of paper. And he hands him this little piece of paper, and he says, you say this little safe word, and everything's fine. Zoot will stop what Zoot's doing. A few $100s for this little Zoot. Kevin's ecstatic. Takes it home, tells Susie about it. Susie's a little like, yeah, whatever, go have fun. And puts Zoot in the closet with the, covered up, and isn't really thinking about it. But a couple of weeks go by, Susie throws in some laundry. And then gets a little randy, right? Goes, you know what, I guess I'll try Zoot. Takes Zoot out of the closet, lays down on the bed, starts having fun with Zoot. Zoot my pussy. Zoot my tits. Zoot my mouth. Just whatever she's in the mood for at that moment. And then she finishes up. Well, Zoot's still going. And she goes, and all of a sudden it dawns on her. The little piece of paper was in her jean pocket that's now in the wash. So Zoot's still just fucking going for her. And she goes to the wash and she's trying to pull this piece of paper out, but it's all fucking smeared up now. She doesn't know what the safe word is. And she's fucking butt naked. And she slaps Zoot to the side and she goes running into the garage and hops into their car. And she goes tearing down the road. And Zoot comes flying out the garage after her. And she's doing, 70 miles an hour in a fucking 35. And Zoot's just running down the road after her. And there's the fucking cop. And the cop pulls her over for speeding, right? And he comes walking up to the window. Well, this gives Zoot a chance to catch up. And Zoot's at the passenger window just boom, 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 boom. Against the passenger window, trying to get to Susie. And she's screaming hysterically at the cop, Zoot's after me, and he doesn't understand. Why is this fucking naked chick speeding down the road, right? She goes, you don't understand. Zoot's after me. Zoot's gonna get me. And the cop says, Zoot my ass.
That was a fucking long fucking way to get to that.
You know what? Zoot wasn't the only thing that had legs. Oh my God. I still want to know what was written on the piece of paper. I'm fucking tormented. I just want to know what was on the piece of paper. Oh, fucking hell. All right, man. We're going to let you go. We're going to wrap this puppy up. All right. Thanks, man. We'll see you around. Cheers.
Hey, do we have any new copy from our amazing and
you know what? I have not checked, but I'm going to take a look right now and see if we have any fresh copy, but I don't think so. I was hoping there'd be some Halloween copy. Yeah. I wanted there to be some pumpkin spice flavored Manscaped.
Is your black cat getting a little
yes
rough around the edges?
I was really hoping.
Well, shave that little.
Right. I was really, really hoping there'd be some truly good Manscaped. But I don't think we've got any fresh copy. And I just, I know that we've got the September copy, but I think we've read all of that.
We'll just say Manscaped 5 times. Manscaped, 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 Manscaped.
Yeah, I mean,
don't let your kiwis look like kiwis. And have them look like pumpkins.
Again, it is going to say autumn is in the air. The pumpkins are in the patch, and our friends at Manscaped are here to make sure you don't carve your pants pumpkins when you're grooming. If you know what I'm saying.
I don't know what you're saying.
I don't know what you're saying. Okay, Steve. Make sure you're keeping things fresh this fall with the leaders in male grooming and their brand new 4th generation performance package. Boys, get ready for a cuffing season like no other. I don't know. What is the cuffing season?
I don't know.
Does anybody know about this? Is this a regional reference I'm not getting being from the Midwest?
Snip the nuts off sheep?
It's like it says, get ready for a cuffing season like no other. Ready to take the leap into fall with Manscaped. Join the 2 million men worldwide using Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping anywhere in the world with the code ClevelandMoto. That's all one word. What is cuffing?
Well, first of all, ClevelandMoto, be right there.
Right. Thank you, ClevelandMoto.
Cuffing season refers to a period of time where single people begin looking for short-term partnerships to pass the colder months of the year.
Get the fuck out of here.
Cuffing season usually begins in October and lasts until just after Valentine's Day. It makes sense, then, for cuffing season to be impacted by the weather.
Cuffing season?
Never heard of it.
And where did it come from? I mean, are we talking about cuffing? Like
throw a set of cuffs on her and lock her up in the cabin.
What the hell, dude? Cuffing season.
It probably meant cuddling season, but the guy had a list.
I've got cuffing season.
Cuffing season.
Would you like to cuff with me?
Cuffing season is
Sounds
so
like
called
Steve.
because it describes the desire to be tied down or cuffed that often arises in colder months.
Chris, you're kidding me. That is the most fetishy shit we've ever talked about on this thing. And that's like a straight up... Because it's like, hey, wait, hold on. There's a little fall in the air. Could you
Ball gag season.
It's like, tie me up. Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Directly following cuffing season's ball gag season.
Right. I'm sorry. Turn off the air conditioner. Quick, get out to get ball gag.
Yeah.
Right.
My favorite is March, though. Anal bead season kicks in, and it's fucking awesome.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know. That's after Valentine's Day. That's January.
Again, steak and blowjob days not far behind. Right. Yeah, that's exactly. But so cuffing season, you want to be tied down.
Yeah.
You want to be tied down.
I don't know why you keep looking at me when you say that twice.
I'm trying to think of the guitarist from there was a band called Faster Pussycat in the 90s, and I think the lead singer was called, I think his name was Tie Me Down.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, I think that was it. They had Faster Pussycat Kids. Look them up. Just play all of their album Love Missile F-111, or that was Zig Zig Sputnik.
No, that was Zig Zig Sputnik.
Yeah,
dude.
Faster Pussycat was Babylon. Yeah. The song was called Babylon. Play that for your parents. Faster Pussycat. The song's called Babylon. It is the most unholy arrangement between hair metal and rap.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Zig Zig Sputnik was good, though.
Zig Zig Sputnik was pretty fantastic. I'll give you that. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code ClevelandMoto at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code ClevelandMoto at manscaped.com. I don't know why they made me read it twice. It says, make your balls a priority this fall. Choose Manscaped. Your balls will thank you. So I'm wearing this shirt the other day. Manscaped, your balls will thank you, on the back of my shirt. Yeah, that's it. The giant black shirt with the big, your balls will thank you on the back of it. And I completely 100% forgot. I walked down to our little, pavilion we have, our pier, and I walked down there, and that was when like the 5 old ladies from the neighborhood all decided to come down, and I'm enjoying a cocktail. And she's like, what does your shirt mean? And I went like, oh, it's male. I was like, it's male grooming products. And she was like, what? And I was like, I'm going to have to show a nut. I think I'm going to have to show one ball to get out of this situation. I think this requires just one nut. Like, oh, look, I sat in bubble gum. Like just one ball. And I was like, I really didn't know how I was going to get away clean on that one, but I did. I was able to explain the situation.
Broke out the goat, man.
No, he just pulled a picture of John out of his wallet.
I did go in my drawer the other day, and I was doing a little grooming, and I went in my drawer and I cleaned out, we all have that drawer in our bathroom. That's my fucking drawer. And my drawer has 29 years of shaving devices in it. I went through a straight razor phase. I went through a safety razor phase, old-timey safety razors. I got all that shit in there. But I had 3 different battery-operated hedge trimmers, of various different generations. And I can tell you that all 3 of those have drawn blood. Every single one of them has cut me and bled me. One of them still had dried blood on it. From the 80s, no less. But the Manscaped, I got away clean. I have not yet bled thanks to Manscaped. So for real, that shit does work. If you've nicked your shit, switch over to Manscaped.
You clone yourself from that 80s blood. 20 years younger.
That away from the CIA.
Yeah, but that was pre-AIDS blood. So that gives you an idea how old that blood was. Nobody had to worry about it. George Michael would have lived a long, happy life with that transfusion. Oh, that's cruel. Anybody got anything else?
If Steve nicked himself, period blood would come out.
Why? Why?
Oh, he's so mean to me.
Yes.
I'm gonna have Cora bite your balls off tomorrow.
So funny enough, I also, way back in the day, basically donated to Elio.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, you're an Elio donator too.
I'm an idiot too. Right? Right? I just got a fucking email from them like 3 days ago.
No way.
Literally says, sorry it's been a while since we've talked to you. We've got big news coming out for you next week.
Wait a second.
Stay tuned.
So wait. So Elio or Elio,
however you want to say it.
You gave them was it $100 deposit?
Yeah, $100 deposit.
$100. So you guys paid $100 for a 3-wheeled car that ran on electricity, right? Beautiful car.
4-cylinder.
Oh, was it?
I mean, I sat in them.
Oh, you did?
Right, they had demos, and it was out at Westlake.
Oh, shit.
Right at that little mall plaza area.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say little.
Right.
And yeah, we sat in them. Wife one sat in the back. Like, as a driver, it was nice.
Fucking cool.
Wait, wife
right?
one?
The price is now $35,000.
I remember.
Holy shit.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was decked out.
Are they going to honor the original $69.95 price tag?
No, they're going to tell you they're out of business.
Right.
We have big news for you next week.
No, we're
out of business.
For your $100, we're giving you a brick.
You know what'd be awesome? You know what'd be
and a T-shirt.
You know, I wouldn't be mad if the email came and it's just the owner of the company with like just whores everywhere blowing him, and he's like, "Thanks for the money. It worked out really fucking well."
Hey man, I got $100 on a Cybertruck right now.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? The only thing that could make me less excited about the Cybertruck is all the months that I've actually not gotten one.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he did just send 4 normal schmucks to space, so I think he might be able to deliver you.
That's true.
So did you see that Rivian produced their first truck destined for a customer this week?
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit! Wow, that's something. That's somewhat surprising.
I hope they fix that like ball that was connected by one thread underneath the fucking suspension that fucking our boys from
look, for the record, the fact that the Rivian broke on that trip is not the sad trombone story. No. The sad trombone story is that Harley Davidson no longer sells a live wire.
Right.
The sad thing is that all that Harley Davidson marketing and all that Harley Davidson shit and the Harley Davidson jackets and the Harley Davidson everything else that went into that is now literally just like a very plain blue typeface on a white field that just says live wire. It has lost all of the pull behind it. Like all of the inertia that was like live wire by Harley Davidson. Like one of those good, strong Dustin Elliott reads has turned into live wire. Well, I guess you want an electric motorcycle.
I was watching something and they positioned the live wire in front of all other electric motorcycles.
What's the museum?
Zero got a mention or whatever, even though they've sold hundreds of thousands more than them.
Exactly, yeah.
And that they're a way better bike. But then the epitome of the electric motorcycle, the Harley Davidson live wire. It is not the epitome.
According to Harley Davidson, it is the epitome of electric motorcycles. Oh, excuse me, Energica. Excuse me, Zero. Excuse me, everybody
it's not
else.
the epitome of the American-made electric motorcycle.
It's not even, no. And it might not be the epitome of a Harley-Davidson electric motorcycles.
Yeah, but the other ones don't have like an ass thumper.
No, they don't. They do not have a built-in vibrator.
No, but
a
the
taint
Rattler
tickler.
has a fucking ass thumper right built into the seat. So
It does. It is exactly.
So I do have
I couldn't find the
haptic
button that made it
thing
vibrate.
we got
Yes.
to talk about before we leave.
Bring it on, dude.
Some actual motorcycle shit.
Chance
right?
has motorcycle content.
So the Suzuki that I'm doing this top end rebuild on, right? So
The Intrusula?
That's right. So I decided to tear it down because I tested the compression. Compression was low.
Yep.
Piston rings were warm.
Yeah,
But prior to testing the compression, what really started to get me digging into it is I was hearing this like
siren?
I was hearing a siren as I was riding down the road.
It's amazing how good Steve's gotten with the Foley.
Thank you. That's
I was
all
hearing
going
the
in my mouth.
siren.
I'm basically Michael Winslow now.
Here comes a helicopter.
Oh, they shut down the machine.
Because I knew we were doing the show.
No, the guy died. He's done. They're like, fucking shut
Can
it
we
down.
change the code on this one?
So what initially got me to dig into this, right? Is I'd accelerate real hard and I'd hear like a knocking sound.
No, slappy slap.
Yeah, it sounded like the cam chain. slapping around.
Right.
So I'm tearing this thing down.
Yeah.
Cam chain like doesn't seem stretched out. I measured it, seems fine.
Yeah.
Cam chain tensioner seems fine.
All right.
So I've got this thing down, top end totally like taken apart, and I can't find out what that initial slapping sound could have been. That got me concerned.
Yeah, piston slap. You know, I mean, that's something that.
Did that happen with the worn piston rings?
Yes.
Because they were thin. They weren't on the side.
So
What about rod knock?
Rod knock is, but in his bike, I don't know if that Suzuki motor would be a candidate for rod knock, but why not? I guess I would be as inclined as anything to think that even if your timing cam chain were present, not apparently stretched, but your timing cam chain will have a timing cam chain guide. And what happens with those motors is as they get old and fatigued, the timing cam chain guide doesn't put enough tension on them so that at high RPMs, especially when you back off the throttle, they slap.
So that's exactly what it sounded like. That plastic cam chain guide. Yeah. But in the manual, I've got the factory service manual.
Yeah.
Thing. It doesn't say anything about checking anything about the guide.
No, because it's pretty much just.
So how do you know the guides
built
are
it?
fucked?
Well, you just put new ones in.
Just put new ones in.
Yeah, you just
because-
prophylactically put them in. And there's no when you read a lot of these service manuals, especially if you read actual Suzuki workshop manual, it's going to take a lot of things for granted about your experience as a motorcycle mechanic.
Minimal.
Right. But they're going to just assume that it's going to be like, okay, well, if you've got this situation, nobody would ever open that motor up without replacing those guides.
Are they manual or automatic?
They're probably automatic. So, because I can't imagine, I'm trying to picture, is an 800? So I cannot picture on the side of the 800 motor it having an accessible tensioner.
No, it does not.
I don't think it does.
No.
So I think that it's just a flat spring in there pushing that plastic covered metal rail against the chain. So after 40-some thousand miles,
It's time.
yeah, catch as catch can, you know, if you're in there, you know, that's what they say, like working on old American cars. If you're going to do a timing belt or a timing chain and you don't do the water pump, you're an idiot.
Well,
right?
okay, so
Yeah.
that's maybe this is opening a can of worms.
Yeah.
It shouldn't as we're wrapping things up. But,
Yeah.
But so again, this is the first time I really dug into it.
Sure.
So I got whole new gaskets for everything that I've taken off the good gaskets. But beyond gaskets,
Yeah.
what do I need to replace?
Well, if you
That's
did
not obviously broken.
So if you did a compression test on the motor, so if you did a compression test before you tore the thing down, and you had low compression,
Did you do a wet compression test?
Yes, well, that's how I knew, right?
Right.
So dumped a teaspoon of oil in there,
Right.
and it went right up.
right? Yeah. So something's obviously either hanging open or valve guides are fucked. There's just massive amounts of pressure leaking out of that thing.
Yeah,
So-
and the exhaust pipes, they're all carboned up.
Yeah.
It's got all kinds of
Yeah, it's just right. It's probably been running out for a long time. So I guess what I would say immediately when you look at that thing, I would look at my valve guides for sure. I would look at my seating and lapping the valve seats for sure. Those would be on my top 10 list of things that must be conquered. And then
a quick check for your valves is turn the heads over, lay them on the workbench, pour some gasoline in them, see if any gas runs out the intake into the ports, you know what I'm saying? So fill that little combustion chamber up, let it sit there and see if you get a dribble of gas. If you don't, then they might be okay. But while you got it apart, it's a little more pain in the ass tearing them all apart. But you can lap them and just, you know,
well, I mean, that's where I'm at right now, right? Is I've got this whole thing torn apart.
If you've got the thing torn apart, and you get the heads out and the heads are sitting apart, and if you're going to go to the step of actually dismantling the heads and taking the heads apart.
You might want to buy new valve springs.
Because you have to get to the cam chain tensioners.
On that one, you have to. Yeah, you have no choice. That's coming apart. Yeah, on that motor, that's coming apart. So do it. You know, I would say go in, and I agree.
We're past the hardest part.
Yep, I agree. I totally agree. And I would say that's, in my opinion, I think that I would hit everything. I would hit the rings. I would run a hone through the cylinder for sure. Even just run a bead hone in it. Just, if nothing else, to put a good crosshatch. If you're going to put
new rings in, you have to hone it.
Absolutely. So to put a crosshatch back into the motor, I would go ahead and run that through it. I wouldn't. All that stuff is going to be cheap enough. That motor's old enough, and all those parts are going to be reasonable to buy. I'd say go ahead and fucking do it. If you're going to do a motor rebuild, do a proper motor rebuild. I wouldn't leave anything out of it. I can't think of anything on that job that I wouldn't consider to be part of a standard motor rebuild with that motor, with that engine. The V-Twin 800, it's a fucking good motor, and it will run forever. It's a good fucking proper motor. My curious thing would be like, okay, well, what was the condition that put itself in the position that it gave up the ghost at this point in its life? And that could be something like it was just run at low oil for too long, or it was run on shitty oil or dirty oil for too long, or it was run with an air leak somewhere for too long. And
yeah, I mean, so when I bought that bike, it had like 17,000 miles on it, and there was, it was something that started within the last, like, probably 10,000 miles before I tore it apart. It was not, like, inherent when I bought it. It wasn't something that someone else screwed up. And obviously, I'm, religious with oil changes and everything else.
You get a big air leak in a motor, you won't even know it's there. But when you're running a big air leak in town, it'll never manifest itself as a problem. You'll never know it.
Until your piston gets a hole in it.
Exactly. You run a big air leak on the freeway at 80 miles an hour for a day, then that big air leak is going to create a heat situation that's going to put incredible stress on your valve train. And that's when you're going to see all kinds of problems. So everything, all that stuff is all fine when you're farting around downtown. But the second you take an air leak, even something as simple as like an intake boot on a carburetor, something like a 25-year-old intake boot on a carburetor is going to leak enough air through it that at 80 miles an hour for a 10-hour day, holy shit.
Dude, and so the boot that goes from the rear air filter to the rear carb.
Yeah.
God damn, that's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that even if it wasn't me, whoever had it before me, it's something easily that you could not get the seal on.
All I have to say to that is that's a V2. Try a V4. Yeah.
So that's, the one nice thing about the sports that I bought, right, is one carburetor.
None of that shit.
So no sinking.
None of that shit.
Hydraulic lifter, so no valve adjustments.
No valve adjustments ever. No.
It can spit oil all at once. Goddamn, is it?
A 1200 Sportster is a very, very easy motorcycle motor to own. That's a great motorcycle engine to own and just to have for a really long time.
That open valve train, though.
What's that?
That open valve train, though.
Here's what I can tell you about even the 883s. It's all the same shit. But as a young fella working on Harley Davidson motorcycles, my buddy was like, "Oh, well, once you become a Harley Davidson mechanic, you're really going to get a lot of job offers and shit like that." And I had been trained as a Honda mechanic, and then I went to the Harley Davidson class. Oh my fucking God. I laughed my way through it. There was another guy in my class with me who was also a Honda mechanic. And I was like, this is like John Deere tractor shit. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, somebody told me that like, oh, Harleys were hard or complicated. He goes, no, they told you once you got your Harley certification, you could really make some money. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's what they said. He's like, yeah, he goes, quit working on Japanese bikes. Go get a job at the Harley dealer. You'll actually make money because Harley owners think nothing of spending $120 an hour.
Well, that's the thing is everything on that Harley motor is so out in the open.
Yes.
But that Suzuki, that frame is so small that they just cram shit in there, and it's so hard to get the stuff. Those carburetors, my God, it's
because the Japanese went, all of this must fit in this small amount of space, and Harley Davidson meant we can make the space around it bigger. Yeah. We can just take the motor and just make more America around it. You know, have you ever been to Montana? Lots of room. Lots of fucking room. You ever been to Tokyo? Not so much room. No fucking room in Tokyo. So, yeah, they have to build everything really tight and on top of each other. And American motorcycles are the same way. There's no reason my fucking Road King police bike weighs 850 fucking pounds. That's an abomination that it weighs as much as it does. And you're like, oh, yeah, but the power is great and the torque's great. It would have to be. It's the Queen fucking Mary. Yeah.
So I was laughing, though, this afternoon in the parking lot with James. I was talking to him about it. And the biggest gripe I have with this bike is Harley in their infinite wisdom. They put the overflow drains for the engine oil in the airbox screw.
Correct.
So the oil just goes in the airbox and then just shits all over the side of the bike, all over your pants.
Yeah. Well, of course, but if you're a Harley guy, the first thing you do
it's supposed to suck back in the motor.
Exactly. The first thing you do when you're a Harley guy, of course, is you disable all that emissions shit. You take it all off, and you put a Screaming Eagle air filter on it with no hoses going into it, and you run all the hoses right out to the ground underneath.
Wait, what's the karaoke thing that goes like a fake blower?
The blower charger?
Butterfly.
Yeah.
And then you have the road vent.
The road vent.
Like they have on diesel trucks.
And the guys hang it right in front of the back tire.
The happy jugs.
Just in case
so it literally dumps everything right into your traction, right into your contact patch. Yeah, I mean, that was the whole thing. The reason that, again, the guy we talked about earlier, the dude with the 2003, the reason his bike ran like garbage from the day he bought it was because from the day he bought it, the bike never got like undealershipped, like it never got un-EPA'd. So if the bike would have been bought and then immediately de-EPA'd, he would have been riding it and enjoying it and having fun with it because it's a 1200 Sportster and they're a lot of fun.
Run your breather into a water bottle and then you can just dump it back in the bike.
Yes, you can literally recycle your oil as many times as you like.
I straight up just rode down here with a quart of oil in my backpack.
You didn't need it. You just had to save that oil.
Exactly.
Pour it back in.
Right. I assure you, everything, we know all kinds of motorcycles that if you run them at 85 miles an hour down the road for 6 or 8 hours, you're going to get blow by. That people are like, oh, I don't know. For 23,000 miles, this bike never used a drop of oil between oil changes. Well, then I rode across Nebraska. Yeah, and you used a quart of oil. No shit.
I mean, imagine your crankshaft is spinning there in an oil bath.
Yep.
At 10,000 RPMs, it's making oil mist.
It is literally vaporizing
oil.
oil.
Is making its way out of your breather. And it's not really... It's not, it's not a big deal. It's just you got to capture it and put it back in somehow. Or
the Honda CV750, the single overhead cam Honda CV750 with its breather on top of the engine cases. It's one of those things that the bike will run so clean. The bike will run so nice. You won't notice anything until you take the bike out and go 80 miles an hour on the freeway. When you go 80 miles an hour, you're like, what the fuck? I just cleaned this fucking thing. And now there's oil on my exhaust. Like, how did the oil go forwards? I have no idea how the oil got forwards. And then you look and you're like, those had an oil tank, because those had a dry sump. And you look at it and you're like, how the fuck did I run through a quart of oil? I check this religiously, and how the fuck am I a quart low? Yeah, because there is a certain RPM that when you get above that RPM, it just becomes a fog. And it just is going to go out any place in the motor it can go out.
What you'll find is that it's called windage. Yeah. So there's windage plates and stuff like that. But it's all meant to control that. That's so when your crank is going this and it's throwing a rooster tail of oil, that it hits something that drives it back down and everything like that. But it's only good to a certain part. I mean, you can imagine at 10,000 RPM, oil is fucking everywhere.
It's fucking going crazy in there, man. It's just going crazy in there. Yep, it is. And on all of our race bikes and stuff, when these little motors we were running, they were basically designed to run at 7,000 RPM, and we're running them at 9,000 RPM. And the bike from the manufacturer, the bike had this little screw-in mushroom cap. That's all it was. It was just a shaft with a little cap on it. And that was what was the vent for the, water couldn't get into it. If it rained, the water would go around it. But that was what kept the oil in the motor. Like as though oil would go up, it would hit the top of the mushroom cap and it would just fall right back in the motor. Problem solved. But at racetrack speeds, oil was just dumping on our tires. And people are like, that's not a good thing. That's a terribly bad thing. So you'd grind the mushroom top cap off and you'd have this basically a 3/8 inch spud coming out of it, this little shaft, and you'd stick a hose on it, put a clamp on it, and then run it over to insert name of child's medicine bottle or something over here and just zip tie it to something. And yeah, you'd go out in a race and you'd be like, oh shit, I think I got to dump my catch can. You'd be like, holy fuck, I do have to dump my catch can. I started the race with 5 ounces of oil in my gearbox and I have 3 ounces of oil in here. So I'm in trouble. Yeah.
All those high horsepower, like all the drag cars and stuff have those catch cans. And in fact, a lot of guys get kicked out because if they forget to empty it when they do their next run, it overflows and then fucks the whole track up for the rest of the day.
You know what? Oil management and stuff, when you're using a racetrack with other people, there's all kinds of different rules in all kinds of racing organizations with motorcycles that define some motorcycles have to have a catch can. Some motorcycles have to have a catch tray.
Right.
And we were running in a class with motorcycles that were required to have an actual belly pan. And the belly pan had to hold a couple of quarts of oil. Because in these vintage classes, if the bike sprung a leak, the day of 60 people's day could be ruined because you just oiled the fucking track, with your 2 or 3 quarts of oil in your motor.
There's the vintage riders with the turkey baster pan underneath it.
Oh my God. Yeah. We used to get real creative with all kinds of shit and, steal a stop sign and bash it into a fucking oil pan on the bottom of the bike and fit it between the frame rails and be like, look, it's fucking watertight. No sweat. But you'd realize you come back in after a few heats and you're like, God, there's a fucking lot of oil in there, man. So I might have a fucking problem. And then just clean the motor off extra good and it goes through tech and they're like, oh, you're all right. Okay, get back out there, But yeah, it is a weird thing. Fucking motors are not airtight. Not by a long shot, dude.
All right. So I know we're getting real late here. I got one last question.
Fire away, man. You're here. You drove a long way to be here, Chance.
I gotta ask while I'm here. So I'm doing this rebuild, and so I finally bought myself an ultrasonic cleaner.
Oh, a big one or a little one? Harbor Freight one? Like that big? Or like that big?
A little bigger.
Oh. Yeah. So is it made of metal or made of plastic?
Metal.
Ooh.
Yeah. So here's my question. So the user guide says to just use water.
Yes, exactly.
Is that right? Just use water? I don't need a special chemical or...
No.
Okay.
You can use water.
Okay.
But that's not fun.
Okay.
No, you'd want to get into the lore of ultrasonic parts washing. You want to get into that oil argument. You want to get into the argument, is it better to have water? Is it better to have vinegar? Is it better to have a little bit of simple green? Is it better to put some baking soda in there?
CLR.
A little CLR?
Well, that's what I'm asking. What's
right.
the consensus here?
Oh, you're going to get 100 different answers from 100 different people, dude.
I use Super Purple degreaser in mine.
Yep.
It's dangerous though. If you're forgetting leave shit in there, it eats the carbs. Also, if you use the heat setting for a long period of time, it makes your aluminum black.
Yep.
So you might want to try, if you're doing carburetors, don't use the heat. Just use the thing.
Okay, well, so that's my next.
But you
question.
probably, for you starting out, I'd go with simple green is fairly
I use simple
safe.
green.
So what can I not put in there? I'm assuming I can't put obviously anything rubber or anything in there.
Yeah, I forget about that.
I kind of thought the best thing would be parts cleaner, like the enzyme parts cleaner that you run through a parts cleaner.
Regular simple green will turn some parts black.
Yeah, especially if you use the heat.
Simple green, like the disinfectant version.
Okay.
It doesn't turn the parts black.
Yeah.
So like for instance, my piston heads, right?
Yeah.
They're got a lot of carbon on top. Can I throw those things in there? Is that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So there's the real rule.
See what
is,
happens. It'll either take it off or it won't. You might have to do a little bit of mechanical clean. Scrape them a little bit.
What I will tell you is, if you have anything that's so carburetor bodies are made out of an alloy, pot metal alloy, that is particularly vulnerable to some caustic detergents, and it'll open up the the casting, it'll like cause them to scale. And basically what they'll do is they'll like delaminate or whatever the fuck you want to call it, but they will no longer be airtight. And so it will now leak from every fucking where. So that's a really, really bad idea. So for carburetors and stuff like that, going with simple stuff like going with water or going with any of the...
And
like,
the carburetors on this aren't too bad. I mean, I've been pretty good about, cleaning them with, chem tool and that shit. But
do you degas the liquid in the ultrasonic first?
So I haven't even used
something
it.
that
I
Just
just got
20 minutes, run it 20 minutes to get the gas that's in the liquid out, and it'll be much more effective cleaning.
Yeah. Running it empty for a good half an hour, running it empty for, several cycles. It's a really good move to make sure that what you're putting in there is as close to an inert solvent as you can be. Because remember, what you're paying for is the vibration.
Right.
So you're paying for the vibration. Anything beyond that is gravy. So I love going on internet forums talking about like, well, I only use, 2 drops of ivory soap and I only use...
I wanted to try Pine Sol.
Right. So there are a lot of people that use Pine Sol. People believe in Pine Sol. People believe in the simple green. People use the purple power. Dawn. Exact.
Purple power is dangerous. I don't recommend
I can tell you right now, I have only used purple power on seriously shit that was like, if this disintegrates, I don't care. But I've tried everything. And it's like, I think purple power is the next best thing to like coal slag blasting, like sandblasting with Black Beauty.
Yeah.
Because I tell you, there was shit that I used aluminum silicate on at 120 PSI sandblasting that I couldn't get clean, and I stuffed it in with purple, cut 1/2 to 1.
Yeah, I wouldn't even. I don't ever use it 100%.
Oh God, no. It would be like, so it'd be 1/2 to 1. So it'd be 1 part purple, 3 parts water.
Sure.
And I use that in my ultrasonic in the little one, and it still destroyed shit. Like it's still.
You can't leave your carburetors overnight. They'll have like a little etch line where the water line was.
Yep.
And they'll start building this lime scale-y shit.
It's not worth the time.
It's good if you're going to clean the carbs
Was
and
that
rinse them.
CMHA or was that Cleveland?
That was Cleveland.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
There was a nice unit that went by earlier.
Yeah, I like that. It was funny that they both went by lights but no sirens. It was very courteous for the podcast. That's nice of them. Yeah. Our podcast listeners don't think they're being pulled over right now, which is really nice.
Purple Powers, if you want to do something dirty, something bad, you're going to watch it. You're going to,
I got to tell you, I use Purple Power at the shop all the time, and the best thing for Purple Power is concrete. Like, if you want to clean concrete, Purple Power is your friend. If you want to clean a dirty motor, fucking step away from the Purple Power. That shit will take skin off a mechanic like that. Like, these guys are using it.
My wife's car the one time, and it started eating the paint.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had a mechanic who came forward to me, and he's like, my hands hurt. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, my hands just hurt. I'm like, did you wash them? He's like, yeah, I washed them, but they feel weird and they just hurt. And I'm like, what were you using? And I have a vat, like the 10-gallon, industrial size barrels of State Chemicals purple cleaner in the back. And he's like, that. And he's got a spray bottle. And I'm like, were you using it straight? And he's like, yeah, I'm using it straight. I'm just spraying it on these like parts and everything. No gloves, no nothing, using it straight out of a sprayer. And I'm like, well, scientifically, the sprayer is supposed to fail to protect your hands, but apparently it was a really good sprayer. So, and he's like, yeah, my fingers hurt so much and I don't have any fingerprints anymore.
Like, my hands hurt and I went to the bathroom. My dick
I'm sure it has lye in it. It gives you that same feeling when you work with lye and your fingers are slippery, even after they've been cleaned 1,000 times. You can't make them stop being slippery and you don't have any more fingerprints.
That's just your skin melting.
I'm telling you, dude, Purple Power does not fuck around, man. That shit is serious. Simple Green, it's pretty violent.
I gargle with that shit. That's minty.
Look, I know all the
great on your clothes. You get spots on your clothes.
Yeah, the Simple Green works for a lot of stuff, and I always, anytime they give you the deal where you're going to get the 1-gallon jug and then also the sprayer for like $10, sign me up for that all day long. But they're good.
I heard it cures COVID.
Yeah, only if you put it up your butt.
Keister.
It only works if you put it up your butt, Steve.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm telling you forgot about the rule.
That was a white shirt lieutenant.
You got it. Yeah, that's a lieutenant.
Shirt.
Yeah, they might have somebody. They might have somebody in the hospital there that down at Fairview. They got to work on because that's why there's no lights or no sirens rather. Yeah, something's going on down there. Anybody got anything else? Fuck it, it's another podcast, man. That was podcast 343.
Which you probably could have seen if John would have put the sign back in the scooter.
Back in the scooter? Yeah, you're gonna there's a scooter there, right? Yeah, that's it. So that was it. So it was a lot of fun having you here, man. It was very good having you again, Chance. Great having Chris back out. Very cool. People don't know this.
Don't forget your cooler, Chris.
You bust out the duct tape. I'll take it home.
Well, Chris let everybody ride his AK-550.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
That was very fucking
That
cool.
thing is fucking sick, man.
Yeah, that was very cool. He did not. I bought a Vitpillin between last podcast and now, and so when I said we were test riding bikes, I think everybody here thought they were going to ride a Vitpillin tonight. Maybe next week. We'll see what happens.
I probably wouldn't have came if I'd have known we weren't riding that.
The previous owner of the Vitpillin was like a 100-pound girl, so it's got like the basic. The rear shock is purple and it has unicorn horns on it and stuff. It's purely not for me. Yeah. So we got to get a proper rear spring on the back, so it'll take our weight.
To compress the spring, you didn't even need fucking wrenches. You're fucking using your finger.
No, I just said smaller. I said smaller, and it went smaller. Yeah. That was it. It's one of those ones that somebody's lowered it so much you can't use the side stand anymore. You have to lean it against buildings.
They cut off 3 inches of
I'm
side
so
stand.
happy they didn't cut the side stand at this point. That bike has 800 miles on it.
Oh, geez.
You're like, that was 800 miles for somebody to realize they bought the wrong bike.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm very happy to have it. I don't know how long I'm going to have it. It probably won't be long. But in the meantime, I have a sewing machine that's disguised as a motorcycle. That's Husqvarna. Yeah. When I'm done riding it, I can go embroider clothing on it. Every time I ride it, a bunch of little Chinese ladies follow me home.
It's
they're
probably pretty good because they
have to make jeans.
They're right next to the Germans, aren't they?
They are.
The German?
Husqvarna?
Husqvarna. I always think of the Swedish fucking chef.
Don't know why they call me. Why do they call me Desfeed? I am Norwegian. All right, guys, ride fast and take chances. Press the right button. It sounds good on these mics, though. It does sound nice.